This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Ruby Doll digs in for all she has, and she has enough to win it! Ruby Doll did it again!
A great version of the Ruby Doll and Pal.
Best Pal clear, and Best Pal wins the futurity.
And Desert Gate dominates the Best Pal.
The legend lives on! Four-Star Dave wins again at the spa!
Another tremendous effort from Deterministic, who wins the FanDuel 4-Star Dave.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
But it's Chunk of Gold winning by 4 or 5 lengths.
And looking at Lee and Alvin Jimenez going to get up right on the wire to win the Ellis Park Juvenile Stakes. And Art Collector is on to Louisville, and he won the Ellis Park Derby.
But it is USA in Dubai World Cup number 30. Magnitude leads all the way, 50 yards to catch Magnitude, but Magnitude to the top of the class.
It takes way better than a good horse to do what he's done in his last 2 races. It takes a horse of Curlin, Gunrunner, Magnitude's quality to get that done.
Nitrogen is clearly still the best. She is on top and is absolutely romping home in the Ogden Phipps. Nitrogen trounces them by more than 10 lengths.
I want to give her a chance to be great. You know, if she could beat the boys, that would be a good start.
Now, here's Mike Penna and Angela Herman.
Good morning once again, everyone. Welcome to the show that launched a network. It is the Equine Forum, all presented by TwinSpires, and all right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. We say hello to all of you joining us across North America on Sirius 162, XM 207, along with our terrestrial partners and streaming worldwide right now, live on our website, horseracingradio.net. If you miss any portion of today's show, you know what to do. Check out the podcast available on our website after we finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can do that, horseracingradio.net, and anywhere you access your podcasts. Angela Herman, Countess of Canterbury, good morning. What a day of racing.
Good morning, and it is going to be a day of racing coast to coast again. That is what summer has laid out for us, and this weekend is no exception. Saratoga is going to be the focus of a couple of our interviews today, and boy, did they bring it, stacking 4 Grade 1 races in a row, couple on the dirt, couple on the turf, and that's just following up the great action from Friday, and that was kicking off everything at Saratoga with some prices in the mix. I mean, you think that the next weekend can't top the previous one, and it's already off to a running start, this one.
Congratulations to trainer Miguel Clement. What a day for him yesterday. Botas, his runner in the 4-Star Dave, gets the victory. In the 4-Star Dave. In the Hall of Fame Stakes, the 4-Star Dave will be run today. In the Hall of Fame Stakes, gets the victory for him right after his father is inducted into the Hall of Fame. Awesome day for them.
I can't even imagine what they were feeling when he crossed the line. Just the emotions that are already involved in the day, and then just to elevate them with a win like that, to set them up for a possible day like this. I would love to hear how he's feeling, and we'll get the opportunity to see how everything went for them today and the weekend that they look for ahead.
And Miguel's going to join us shortly, 8:15 Eastern. We'll get a chance to hear from him. Price Bell also set to join us, as he does every year, from the Saratoga Sale. That's right, the sale coming up on Monday and Tuesday evenings in Saratoga Springs. That Fasig sale is just absolutely loaded with quality, as it is every year. So we'll talk to Price about their consignment. Boyd Browning, the president of Fasig-Tipton, will be here with us at 9 o'clock Eastern. And then we're going to talk more about the Whitney. The Whitney is listen, you say 4 Grade 1s, and you have 2 win-in-your-ins with the 4-Star Dave and the Whitney. But, Angela, the Whitney has so many compelling storylines this year. I think it's as good as any Whitney we've seen in recent memory.
I think it might be the best race overall that we might have seen put together with some of the stars since the Classic. It's just a quality field from inside to out, and I can't help but root for Nitrogen, the filly, to take on the boys. She's in some of the best form of her life, if not the best form of her life. What better time to take on the males in the Whitney?
Do you remember, when they ran the Stephen Foster last month, we came on the air and we were talking about how this might be the race of the year. And how could it get any better? Because you had the reigning horse of the year, Sovereignty. You had White Albarado in that race. You had Magnitude, who was coming off of that big win in the Dubai World Cup. And then you had Baeza, who on his day, he never runs a bad race. And on his day, he's a horse that can be extremely dangerous whenever he gets led over. So you had the big four, if you will. And we're like, how on earth can this get any better? Well, now you throw in Champion Nitrogen, the girl taking on the boys. And I think we just found out how it could get better.
It's awesome. It's really, and even following up the Oaklawn Handicap earlier this year, we don't always expect these sort of face-offs before Breeders' Cup time, and we have, again, been treated to a couple of really nice showdowns between the best that the sport has to offer, and the Whitney might be the best of them all. If things do go according to plan, now, of course, we'll see if some scratches come out, and I know that Safi is planning on running one or the other depending on the track condition, but that notwithstanding, it's a dynamite field from rail to the outside, and no matter what the outcome of this race is, I'm hoping for a good race, and I'm guessing we're going to see it with this quality of a field.
One or the other. You mean Safi Joseph Jr. He has Forged Steel entered in the Whitney. He also has White Albarado in there. I'm guessing we're going to see White Albarado for sure, unless there's a downpour in Saratoga this afternoon. I think we'll see White Albarado.
Yes, I think that was going to be the contingency between the two. I don't see any deluge coming, so we should get to see White Albarado, and maybe at another very usable price, just kind of like he was in his last couple of races. She's just another element into a great race.
Mark Casse had to find a new rider for Nitrogen because she was ridden by Jose Ortiz and has been for much of her career. He ends up sticking with Magnitude in here, and I think it's somewhat interesting that they break side by side. Magnitude from post 1, Nitrogen in post number 2. Going to be interesting to see how this plays out because Magnitude's game is speed. He has a lot of early speed, doesn't need the lead to win, but he likes to be right up on it. Nitrogen showed some speed last time out when she dominated the Ogden Phipps and beat those fillies the way she was supposed to beat them. You wonder if John Velasquez now, who is aboard Nitrogen, says, okay, Magnitude, you're not getting away from me. If we both break good, I'm sticking right with you.
I would imagine that would be the game plan. Of course, we'll get to maybe ask and see what they have in mind, the connections of Nitrogen, for what they would draw up in their mind as the ideal trip. But at least on paper, it would look to me like these two are going to travel as a team for most of the way. May the best horse win down the stretch. I don't think Nitrogen is going to be breathing down his neck the entire way, but at least keeping him in range. That seems to be what she would like to do. Last time she was just so sharp, she just went to the lead and kept on rolling. I mean, you could see how impressive she was there. And I love the thought process with she loves this track. She's going to handle the distance just great. You know that she's just coming into this race going spectacularly, and with just a couple of exceptions, she's been on such a positive trajectory from day one of her career that this is the best time. This is absolutely when to take a shot against him, and I think that she's going to give him a tussle no matter what kind of trip she gets.
We're going to hear from Jon Green. He's the general manager of DJ Stables. They are the owners of Nitrogen. A couple of weeks ago, well, it was right after she won the Ogden Phipps, you and I welcomed Mark Casse to the program. And one of the things he told us, Angela, if you recall, was how the Ogden Phipps was more about proving people wrong. He had a lot of people telling him after Nitrogen had been beaten a couple of times this year that she needs to be running on the grass, and you don't need to keep trying her on the dirt, even though she's a champion on the dirt. And he said, you know what? I want to prove everybody wrong. And he did when she wins that race by 12 lengths. What do you think today? If that was about proving people wrong, what word would you use to describe what this race might be like for Mark Casse thinking about Nitrogen?
Yeah, I don't know if I would use just one word, but he kind of indicated it before the Ogden Phipps. This is proving ground for greatness. This is what it takes for a filly to be put into the greatness category instead of just a very good filly. So I think greatness would be maybe the word that I would put into the equation, because he mentioned it too. If he wants to give her the opportunity to be great, he has to put her against the best, not just in her class, not just in her division, but the best of the best. So this is her chance to do it.
The other storyline that I think is somewhat overlooked in this race today is is reigning horse of the year Sovereignty, trying to get back on track, trying to get back to the winner's circle again. It has been a bit of a struggle for Sovereignty this year. After winning the Travers by 10 lengths last August at Saratoga, he came back this season, his 4-year-old debut, and he finishes second in the Oaklawn Handicap. That was a big upset, but he was beaten by White Albarado, no slouch. And then he comes back and he's third in the Stephen Foster behind Magnitude and Baeza. This is a critical race for Sovereignty.
I think so, too. And normally you would put this set of PPs in front of somebody and they'd be more than thrilled with the numbers that he puts up, with everything that he does. But just the standard that Sovereignty set for himself makes anything like his last couple of races appear a bit below par. And I think that he has some legit excuses for it. I guess I'm more forgiving of Sovereignty than some other people are, because he was in an unusual position up front early in the Oaklawn Handicap. And it's very possible that he didn't like the sloppy track as much in the Stephen Foster as he had any previous sloppy surface. Every different track presents its different challenges. So I think that getting back to one of his favorite tracks and maybe having those couple of races behind him sets him up as well, too, to be in a good position to take a step forward again. And I think that that's what you find with a lot of these, is that they are in such good form and they look like they're coming up to such a good race. If they all fire the shots that they look like they're going to, it's going to be a spectacular run down the stretch.
The Whitney is one of 4 grade 1s on that Saratoga program this afternoon. 2 of those are winning your ins for the Breeders' Cup. You have the 4-star Dave and the Whitney, both offering an opportunity for the winner to head to the Breeders' Cup, an all-expenses-paid trip, if you will. So that's a big deal. And you can say, okay, I understand the Stephen Foster was a win and you're in. Magnitude already punched his ticket. We get it. Deterministic is the defending champion in the 4-star Dave from Miguel Clement. We're going to talk to him again in just about 6 or 7 minutes. And Deterministic looking to go back-to-back in that race. He joined an elusive group if he can do it.
And that's not going to be an easy task either. It's not the biggest field in the world, but boy, did they stack the quality in there. And I know that there's some pride on the line as far as the showdown goes. You see a lot of the names that everybody has involved in these big races, and that's what it's all about, getting them together. I know that when they drop these cards, they don't necessarily know who's going to ship or what the weather's going to do or everything. I think this one is going to be one that they get to run as they wanted to, really, from start to finish. It's going to be a great day up there.
Yeah, and I think I used the word elusive. I meant exclusive group that he would join if he were to win too. You have 4-star Dave, Wise Dan, Got Stormy, Casa Creed. Those are the 4 horses that have won this particular race, which is now named the 4-star Dave, that have won it twice. So that's the group he's trying to join, and those are a pretty good superfecta right there to be part of. We'll see if he can pull it off. Our poll question today does tie into the 4-star Dave, and it ties in to the Whitney. We want to know which morning line favorite has the best chance in their respective race to win that Breeders' Cup Challenge event. Is it Deterministic in the 4-star Dave? Is it Magnitude in the Whitney? Or do you feel like both are going to win? Or maybe you think neither will win. Those are your 4 choices. You can go to @HRRN on X to let us know. You can go to Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook to cast your vote, or you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. So which morning line favorite more likely to win their respective Breeders' Cup Challenge race this afternoon? Is it Deterministic, Magnitude? Both will win. Neither will win. We want to hear from you, HRN Nation. And now we want to hear from Lee Delapina, who has this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question.
Thanks, Mike and Angela. This week's Impossible Trivia question is brought to you by Mojo Racing Partners. Get your mojo working at mojoracingpartners.com. You might know that the legendary horse Kelso won the Whitney 3 times. But who was the only other horse to win the Whitney 3 times? No Googling. We'll give out the answer at the end of the show.
The answer comes your way right around 10:55 Eastern. Full lineup for you this morning. Miguel Clement coming up momentarily. Price Bell Jr. live from the Saratoga Sale. Boyd Browning, the president of Fasig-Tipton, 9 o'clock Eastern. 9:20, Jon Green, the general manager of DJ Stables. 9:40, we remember Robby Albarado, who the news coming out, heartbreaking, brutal, just a gut punch when we got the news that Robby Albarado had passed away suddenly at the age of 52 this week. Way too young. We'll remember Robby right around 9:40 with a special tribute to him. 10 o'clock Eastern, the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin Kilroy has 3 races for you to watch and wager on with TwinSpires this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin, 10:30 Eastern with the final segment of the show. I ask, they answer. All of that coming up. Busy morning here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Get ready for the biggest night of the year at Charlestown on Friday, August 28th. It's the Grade 2 $1 million Charlestown Classic and the Grade 2 $750,000 Charlestown Oaks, the richest sprint race for 3-year-old fillies in North America. The spectacular card features 9 stakes races worth over $2.7 million. The action gets started with a special first post time of 5 o'clock Eastern. It's the Grade 2 Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 Charlestown Oaks on Friday, August 28th here at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races.
Will you accept the Breeders' Cup Challenge? The chance to compete against the best in the world? The chance to race for a piece of over $34 million in purses and awards? The chance to prove you belong on racing's biggest stage? The chance to become a champion? Winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race gives you that opportunity with an invitation to horse racing's biggest event of the year, the Breeders' Cup World Championships at Keeneland, where finish lines become the start of a legacy and starting gates shine on the world stage. Win a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race and earn a guaranteed starting position in a Breeders' Cup race. Entry fees paid, a $10,000 nominator award, travel incentives, and more. Here, winning a Challenge Series race is just the beginning. See the full schedule of races around the globe and learn more at breederscup.com/challenge.
In thoroughbred racing, breathing itself requires energy. During intense exercise, most of the resistance to airflow occurs in the nasal passages, increasing the work required for every breath. Flared nasal strips support the nasal passages to reduce that resistance, lowering the work required for breathing. When breathing is easier, horses experience less fatigue, conserve energy, and can maintain efficient oxygen delivery during exercise. Studies also show that flared nasal strips reduce the severity of EIPH equivalent to Lasix. Flared nasal strips. Performance starts at the nose.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
My Boy Prince has been there every step of the way. Deterministic takes a crack at him on the outside second. Laginos in behind them. Win for the Money is in fourth. Johannes still well back, has 7 or 8 lengths to make up. Think Big on the outside. Deterministic takes command in the final stages and starts to open up. Another tremendous effort from Deterministic, who wins the FanDuel 4-Star Dave under Kendrick Carmouche. Intellect rallied strongly into second, and the rest among Think Big, Win for the Money, and My Boy Prince.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Angela Herman, that's Baron and Countess with you right up until 11 a.m. Eastern. The voice you just heard, Frank Miramati, had the call of the 4-Star Dave at Saratoga last year, won by Deterministic, a very special horse trained by Miguel Clement. And when you use the word special, you have to use it to describe what yesterday was like for Miguel and for his family. They gathered at the Humphrey S. Finney Sales Pavilion to remember their late father, Christoph, who was inducted yesterday into horse racing's Hall of Fame, and then afterwards made the walk across the street to saddle Botas in the Hall of Fame stakes, and they win that one too. What a day for Miguel and for his family, and we are pleased as punch to say hello to Miguel Clement here this morning. Miguel, congratulations, my friend.
Thank you very much.
When you think back on everything that happened yesterday, what words do you use to describe it?
Yeah, it was a very emotional day. It was a great day, to be honest. I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Just wish she was here for that. I thought Mom delivered a powerful and great speech, and it was only fitting for us to win the Hall of Fame, so it's a perfect day.
Your mom's speech was tremendous. Did you know that she was going to tell a lot of those stories?
No, my sister and I were very upset with her because originally it was going to be us three speaking, and then my mom decided to take the lead on that. And we said it's fine, but we'd like just to see the speech, and she refused to show it to us. And to be honest, we all had bets as to how long it was going to be, and she actually kept it within the time, which is amazing. We were all shocked by that. So we're all very proud of her, and I thought she delivered a great speech on behalf of Dad.
Yeah, and as you said, the only thing missing was him, and it would have been wonderful if he was there to receive this honor. But it's so nice now to see his plaque in Saratoga.
No, I agree. It'd be great to see it for years to come, and
yeah,
it would have been great for Dad to obviously be a part of it. But I'm gonna have to turn the page and move on.
Miguel, what made your dad? Obviously, your mom touched on a lot of the things that made him such a wonderful person and a horseman too. But what made him such a good person and such a good horseman? There were two sides to him.
Listen, he was a very tough boss, but amazingly fair. He was a remarkable family person, and in terms of the stable, he was a perfectionist, and he had an amazingly high work ethic. So you combine it to something that's a bit rare, and that's what probably separated him from most in that regard.
And what of your dad's training methods do you apply to your barn today? And what has he taught you that you carry with you in training horses today?
Well, it's a bit tough to say that because everything in the stable is it's like an empire that he created. So I've got the same team, same layup, same design, same owners, same everything. So to be honest with you, it's very much the same ideology as his. And we've been doing it together for the last several years. But I'm very lucky. I'm blessed. He created everything, and we just try to keep the ball rolling type of thing.
Well, you tried to keep it rolling with Deterministic this afternoon, but yesterday you got it rolling with Botas, who was also entered today, but obviously won't run because he took care of business yesterday. Tell me about that performance.
I thought it was great. He was incredibly well ridden by Manny Franco, who was on some sort of heat. He was feeling it yesterday. Not often you see a jockey, especially this circuit, win 6 in a day. And so to be frank, Manny and I, we argued actually last time because I thought he gave him a bit of a poor trip because I thought he was covered up and he was blocked and everything, and I was very disappointed. And he actually never hit the horse once. He never got him a smooth run in the stretch. And I'm convinced he only got beat a length and a quarter in the Belmont Derby. And had the result been a little bit closer, I would have taken a swung to, in today's race, the Saratoga Derby. And I thought he got that well. He had very good work. Don't forget, last year he was like one of the leading 2-year-olds in the country. I didn't think he lost a step. You gave me the Pennine Ridge. He's not running forever, and I ran him a little short. That's fine. But then the race that really disappointed me was the Belmont Derby. I didn't think I had a clear run in the stretch. So my only instruction to Manny is just please give me a clear run in the stretch. And he did more than that. Not only did he give me a clear run in the stretch, he also kept Irad boxed in, and that was the winning move in my opinion. And listen, yesterday he was a difference maker, and he rode him brilliantly. And a lot of credits should go towards Manny Franco, because trust me, I'm more than tough on him. So when he gets it right, he deserves his praise, and he deserves tons of it because it was a brilliant ride.
It was a very nice ride, a great day for him and for you guys as well. And we do talk about today's race too. He was entered in the Derby, but you still have the Big Con going in there, and he's going to make his 3-year-old debut. Tell us about how time has gone for him since last November, because last time we saw him, he was winning the Gray Stakes. He was beating Silent Tactic, who a couple starts later went down and captured a graded win in Arkansas. How's he coming into this race?
So to be honest, he was getting ready for the Jeff Rubies. I had to stop on him for a little setback. It wasn't bad. I didn't want to mess up my fall. In my mind, he's always a good 3-year-old that stays. And the summer and spring, there's not that many staying races. So I said, listen, let's fix him now. Let's not keep going. Let's get it right. Leave him alone. Send him to WinStar. Bring him back. And we'll have him ready for the second half of the year, which matters for me. So you have the Saratoga Derby, you have the Nashville Derby, you have the Jockey Club Derby. Those are the races I think he's be competitive for. Flip side, he's off a long layoff. Am I bullish and optimistic for today? No, I'll be honest with you. I don't think so. I think he might need one. And everyone says, why don't you find an easier race? Well, the easier race I had is short, and I don't want to go shorter because I think he stays. And they said, well, why don't you go an allowance? But the allowance is, because he's won a graded stakes last year, he would be eligible for a 2 other than. And that 2 other than allowance is just as tough as the Saratoga Derby, believe it or not. When you have to face older horses, not maybe people to study the numbers closely enough to realize these 2 other thens could be a war. I mean, they're very talented older horses. So So I think this was a wise mistake. I do believe it's a mistake, but sometimes you have to accept losing the battle to win the war, and I say that often. Tawny Port had to run at Keeneland in order to win the Belmont Gold Cup, and I told the connections prior, sometimes losing, it's okay if it puts you in a better position next time out, and I think the next run will be better, and sometimes you have to accept running well and getting beaten. Same with Bottas. He got beaten at Benign Ridge. He wasn't 100% ready. I told him, if you want to make sure you run well in these races coming up, you need to run. We need to run them now and get the ball rolling. So that's sometimes you have to accept. I think sometimes in order to get to a bigger goal, you need to have a plan. As long as the plan is consistent to what you believe in, you should go for it. You have to accept losing sometimes to win big.
If you've ever wondered why Miguel Clement has had so much success since taking over the stable, you just heard it right there. I mean, looking at it from the way that he takes you inside of it right there. Miguel, that was fantastic. How about deterministic? Here he is, the defending champion in the 4-star Dave. He hasn't tasted defeat since that race last year. Talk to me about deterministic. What a good horse.
Yeah, special. He's different. He's the best turf horse in the country for the last 2 years. If he gets beat, it's our fault. And we just have to make sure we bring him on race day sound and happy and healthy, because he's different than any other horse in the country. So, and trust me, he's the best turf horse in the country. And if he gets beat, you blame us, because he's a special horse and he's a different type.
Last year he won the Manhattan before winning the 4-star Dave. Same pattern this year. What's maybe different about deterministic coming into this year's race, if anything?
No, he's spot on. He's been spot on for the last 2 years.
Kendrick Carmouche gets the leg up. Are you as tough on Kendrick as you are with your other jockeys?
No comment.
Listen, you're the boss, right? But you give a leg up to the jockey, and then it's out of your hands.
Listen, our job is to just get them ready for race day, and they take care of the rest.
Yeah, that's so true. Deterministic. Kendrick Carmouche, 9 for 15 lifetime. Miguel, I want to wish you all the best in that race. Do you see the same type of trip? This is a horse that likes to be out front. Same type of trip later today?
I don't know. And you know what? You don't have to worry about trip. You can decide. He can be forward if he wants to. He can be stalking if he wants to. He can be behind. He braces in front, behind, covered up. He does it all. He's versatile. That's what good horses do. They can overcome everything, including trips and distances. And I think he's that type of horse.
Well said. Miguel, I know you're busy working. We'll let you go. Appreciate the time as always. Good luck later today, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, and congratulations on all that success. Yeah, how about that? He talks about being tough on Manny Franco. Are you as tough on Kendrick Carmouche?
Yeah.
No comment.
No comment. No, my goodness. It's great to get inside the mind of the trainer just to hear exactly, just to see if your guesses about, if your guesses about the horse maybe match up with what's going on, and just get a very frank perspective on what they're doing today and what their vision is down the road. Because you do have those questions with the horse being off since 2025. There's no better source to go to than to ask the trainer. And you don't expect necessarily to get such an honest and forthright answer. And we do need to look for him today and down the road, just because this is a plan. This isn't just seeing what's going to happen. There's a plan in place. So I think that this is one that you do need to mark down, even if you think that today is one that he's going to need, and his trainer does, that the future is bright. They're going to put him in spots like this, and you're going to see him down the road improve. And you probably you're probably going to get a price on him, because I think you will today. And if he continues to progress, maybe that price goes down, but he's a nice horse.
You know he's going to win by 10 now, right?
Probably. Maybe he just talked him right to the winner's circle.
Cold-watered us on this horse. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's undefeated. He's 2 for 2, but this is a tough ask. And I agree. When you look at it on paper, this is a hugely more difficult assignment. But he also talked about the fact that this horse could have run in an allowance race, and non-winners of 2. But then he said you start looking at the quality of the competition there, and it's equal to what he's going to face today. So why not take a swing in a Grade 1?
Well, and to think that Miguel doesn't have a horse or two that's already in that condition, probably wanting to go the same distance as this horse, makes you wonder if they want to stay clear of each other. And he can still go in this 3-year-old race. So they're going to see where exactly he's at as a 3-year-old. And I'm very curious myself. I mean, I saw the natural talent at 2. And even though he did it on a synthetic surface, this horse definitely has some guts to him. And I think that he'll be one, like I said, to watch down the road.
We're going to talk more about the racing in Saratoga this afternoon. Jon Green is the general manager of DJ Stables. He will join us right around 9:20 Eastern Time to talk about his champion, Nitrogen, taking on the boys in the Whitney this afternoon. That race, by the way, the Whitney, is race number 12. It is set for 6:33 Eastern. If you're wondering about the 4-Star Dave, that is race number 10. As 5:14. So the grade ones are run in succession, which I love. Race 9, 10, 11, and 12. The Test Stakes kicks it off, the 4-Star Dave, then the Saratoga Derby, then the Whitney. So it's just going to build to a crescendo throughout the afternoon.
Right, you get to start the pick 6 in the test. I mean, imagine that 4 of the first 6 legs of a pick 6 are grade 1 races. It's not often you get to see it, but that exact circumstance happening at Saratoga this afternoon.
Coming up next, we turn our attention to the future stars of our sport in the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, which has produced so many stars over the years. We'll get a chance to visit with Price Bell Jr. of Nakoma Mill Ridge. We'll talk to him after this break, right around 8:35 Eastern. Boyd Browning, the president of Fasig-Tipton, will be here at 9 o'clock. I mentioned Jon Green, 9:20. And if you're just joining us and didn't catch it, stay tuned because 9:40 Eastern, our special tribute to jockey Robby Albarado. You won't want to miss that segment there.
No, you won't want to miss all of the memories put together. And we'll also talk a little bit later with Dale and Tim and see what they have to say about that and a number of topics. But it's a very sudden and tragic loss and gone too soon. So we get to look back at his career and some of the memories that people have with him.
Robby, a true legend. We now turn our attention to our segment titled Legends of the Turf. We'll have a short commercial break after that and then welcome Price Bell Jr. to the program. Stay with us. That's next on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
On an absolutely picture-perfect day for thoroughbred racing at Saratoga, the Dowager Empress of American racing, 7 horses were to go postward for the 1941 Hopeful Stakes. This race, the 4th on the day's card, was for 2-year-olds, ipso facto, the moniker. It had originally drawn 238 nominees, but that number was cut down to 133 eligibles prior to the race. The reason that a short field of 7 went postward was that 3 of the 7 raced as a single betting interest for trainer John Gaver. The Manhasset stable had Amphitheater, the Sir Galahad III colt who had won the Saratoga Special in commanding style. The Green Tree colors were sported by Shutout, the Equipoise colt who had run second in the Special and won the Grand Union Hotel Stakes, and Devil Divers, the other half of their entry. Devil Diver was a St. Germans colt who'd run second to Shutout in both the Grand Union and the Sanford. Mrs. Payne Whitney owned Green Tree, and her daughter, Mrs. C.S. Payson, owned Manhasset stable. As an aside, a horse named Buster was in the field, and he was owned by Mrs. Payne Whitney's son, John Hay Whitney. They had in those days come to be known as, quote-unquote, the royal family of the American turf. To most observers, the 3-horse entry of Devil Diver, Shutout, and Amphitheater looked to be unbeatable. All 3 had been racing against better company than there was in this field and had scored impressive wins. Shortly after the start, Devil Diver glided to the lead, and his stablemate Shutout was right there, prompting the pace under the venerable heady Eddie Arcaro. Those 2 were on the lead, on to and around the far turn, with the rest of the small field well bunched and not far back. Around that far turn, there was considerable jockeying for position, which resulted in some bumping. The primary offender was Shutout under Arcaro. Arcaro jostled a challenging Ramillies a good bit amongst others. Devil Diver clung to the lead down the lane, even though tiring a bit in the final furlong, and won it by an open length. Shutout was second by a length, Amphitheater third. So the 3-horse entry nailed down the top 3 spots. In fact, Buster finished 4th, so that the entire amount of the stakes went to the Whitney family. The rest of the story, and the result of a very roughly run race, was that an ask no quarter and give none Eddie Arcaro, who had just resumed riding the previous week after a 30-day suspension for rough riding in Empire City, was once again suspended for his cowboy tactics, so to speak, in this running of the Hopeful, pending a hearing, of course. At that hearing, the stewards of the Jockey Club suspended him for the rest of the year. Many thought the suspension should have been for life, since the foul in the Hopeful was so blatantly flagrant. You'd think the young, aggressive, and precocious Arcaro would have learned his lesson from that, but not Eddie. Early the next year in the Cowden Stakes, Arcaro and his mount got bumped just after the start while he was aboard Occupation. The offending rider was Vince Nodars aboard Breezing Home. Arcaro and Occupation eventually caught up to Breezing Home and Nodars in the late stages of that race. Arcaro then brought his mount up outside of Nodars and Breezing Home and literally tried to put Nodars over the inside rail. The stewards called Eddie in after the race and asked him just exactly what he was trying to do. Said Eddie, "I was trying to kill that Cuban." For that, Eddie got suspended for 1 year. The hopeful of 1941 in August and the victory of Devil Diver and Arcaro's rough ride in it, plus the aftermath in Eddie Arcaro's career, a truly memorable, if not great moment as part of one of the legends of thoroughbred racing.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
Sea Strike takes the lead. Chief Wallaby moves into second. Golfy on the inside, back to third there at the top of the stretch. And Sea Strike, streaking through the stretch, has built up a 4-length lead. Chief Wallaby is trying his best in second, but Sea Strike is loaded. What a terrific display from Sea Strike.
In front of a big weekend crowd at the Spa, Sea Strike, the 3-year-old son of Darley Stallion Midshipman, defeated Grade 1 colt Chief Wallaby to win the Keeneland Stakes. In just his third start, he notched a 102 buyer and stopped the clock in a faster time than the Grade 2 Jim Dandy. All this while winning as he pleased by more than 8 lengths. Sea Strike is now pointed to the Grade 1 Travers, and he is your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
Live racing is back at Ellis Park Racing and Gaming. The 25-day summer racing season runs through August 23rd with racing every Friday through Sunday throughout the summer with a daily first post of 11:55 a.m. Central, featuring many of racing's top trainers and jockeys and a record $4.125 million stakes schedule across 18 races, including the Summer Showcase Weekend August 1st and 2nd and the Ellis Park Derby Day August 9th. You won't want to miss summer racing at Ellis Park. For more information, visit ellisparkowensborogaming.com.
The Scott Mallory consignment at this year's Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale consists of 4 outstanding individual offerings, starting with hip number 8, a yearling out of 2-year-old winner Laurel Canyon by the outstanding sire Bolt Doro. Hip 40 is a filly out of graded stakes placed off topic. Hip 215, a filly by legendary sire Keeneland out of the Grade 1 producing mare Hard to Resist. And hip 220 is from the first crop of Forte out of multiple stakes producing 100% winner producer Ice Women. Don't miss these outstanding yearlings offered by Scott Mallory in Barn 5 at Fasig-Tipton Saratoga.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
As they head for home now, it is Get Smokin', Mason on the outside, Regal Glory, and they're moving now for the 16th pole. It's Get Smokin', it's Mason, it's Casa Creed on the outside, and then Regal Glory. Here is Casa Creed, who makes the last move, the winning move in the Grade 1 4-Star Dave Handicap.
Annapolis right to him and right on by. Casa Creed still has 3 to make up. Starts to pick up some nice momentum now. It's Annapolis, and here's Casa Creed on the outside. These two square off once again. Casa Creed or Annapolis? Annapolis, Casa Creed. Casa Creed. Casa Creed, what a racehorse he is. A 2-time winner of the 4-Star Dave.
John Embriel, Frank Miramati, with the calls of Casa Creed winning the 4-Star Dave, did it consecutive years, 2022 and 2023, one of just 4 horses to win that particular race multiple times, and he is now enjoying his new career as a stallion at Millridge in central Kentucky. Millridge well represented once again at the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, which begins on Monday and Tuesday evenings in Saratoga Springs. Price Bell Jr. joins me now. Price, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Really well, really well. Excited to talk to you about the consignment and about Casa Creed. Those calls really get you pumped up for what could be a very special stallion career for this horse.
Oh, God, it'd be so wonderful. He is so deserving because he just, he really embodies everything we look for in racehorses. Just like heart, determination, showed up every time, won on multiple surfaces, and he is just so classy. I mean, it gives us great joy to see him every day. Turned out at the farm, and he just has such a presence and to him, and we'll see. I mean, obviously we're in the dreams business, right? So we've got about a half dozen foals by him at the farm, and they similarly just exude class. And I know we got several years, but the dream is alive. How about that?
Price, that's a term that we hear quite often in racing. Classy, exudes class. What exactly does that mean when you look at a horse and say, this is a classy horse? What things do they show you?
They just give you such confidence in their presence. I guess, I had the great fortune of working with Christophe Clement in the early 2000s, and he had a barn full of really good racehorses. He had England's Legend, and he had Voodoo Dancer, and he had great horses, Honor Glide. And in the afternoons when you'd come back to feed and to get them out of their stall, stretch their legs, those really good horses typically had their heads out of the stall, and they were looking around, and they were looking for you because they knew they were great. And as soon as they saw you, they're like, okay, come and enjoy my presence in a way. And I guess that's kind of what I think about when I think about class. When I see Casa Creed, grazing, he'll, graze, and then he'll lift his head up and he'll just look around in a great confidence and a great amount of presence about him. So Oscar Performance has the same, kind of way. Aloha West. I mean, these great racehorses tend to kind of have this confidence, like, I'm a big deal. You're in the presence of greatness. Enjoy me, kind of thing. I don't know how to describe it.
Sort of like visiting the Millridge consignment at the Saratoga sale. You feel the same way.
Well, we're trying. We're trying as best we can.
All class. You want to talk about a classy individual? You're listening to him right now. Price Bell Jr., exuding class here on the Equine Forum on HRRN. You mentioned Oscar Performance, and he's the signature stallion at the farm right now. But you have Aloha West too, and he's off to a really quick start. You have to be thrilled from what you're seeing from his babies.
Certainly am. I mean, he would have been kind of pigeonholed because he himself didn't win until 4. People might not have expected them to be, quote, early, but he's had 2 winners. He's had, a really good filly that ran well at Woodbine, has come back and run well at Ellis. There's these, there are a few races down in Franklin, Kentucky at the end of this month that you'd hope that you might see a couple of Aloha West pop up in there, and it can all be game on. In this business, you're always just one good horse away from helping the industry dream about what the rest can be. So very pleased with Aloha West. Obviously, Oscar Performance has been an absolute dream, and Casa Creed is giving us the same hope that in a few years, I mean, we're still 2 years away from his horses hitting the track, but, we'll blink and it'll be here.
Hey, Price, Angela here, and I'm wondering about these two since we don't have the performances yet. How are they stamping their foals? Compare and contrast them. Who is putting more of their mark on their babies as they grow up?
Between Casa Creed, or between all 3, or between which 2?
Well, I was going to say Aloha West and Casa Creed, but sure, all 3. Lay it on me.
Let's see. So I'd say, Oscar Performance, his first foals came in the pandemic, and so we spent a lot of time outside. At least at Millridge, we're doing a lot of virtual tours during that time. And so, my dad and I with a phone walking through the fields and looking at all the Oscar Performances, they typically had a blaze. They had, a lot of good balance, and they were just consistently well balanced. And I guess what we would say from our standpoint with him is that he really moved his mares up, meaning mares that had not thrown like maybe the most attractive foals, or maybe not thrown, these high quality foals. Osh Performance foals were kind of the best of the mare's production. And so that might be a consistency with him. Aloha West has thrown a really nice hip on them, and he himself, being a sprinter, has a nice hip. He also has a lovely neck. And so he's thrown a really nice, like, quality individual with a really strong hip. And then I think Casa Creed has thrown, he's a very leggy horse. And he's a very, he's just a really good racehorse. And he's thrown we have some mares who might not be the tallest, or they may not be the prettiest, and the foals that they have by their side that are by Casa Creed are really pretty and really nice, like just quality individuals that we look forward to bringing to market in November, the first opportunity, and hopefully the market agrees. So I guess if I were to quote unquote say, how do they stamp them? Each one a little bit different, and but we've been very blessed and very hopeful with what they're showing us now.
Price, the Saratoga sale has been really, really good for Millridge over the years. You've sold some incredible horses there, and you're hoping to do the same Monday and Tuesday. Talk to me about your offerings this year.
Well, we've brought 4 up here, and it's such a privilege to come up here. Working with the team at Fasig-Tipton, they just do such a nice job. Early in the spring, they come out to the farm and we talk through the majority of our crop, and we're trying to find the right horses for this sale. So we've got a lovely Gervin colt who's a little bit young. He was born late April, but he's just a beautiful mover. And so we wanted to bring him here because you have, a lot of time, and you've got like good runways where people can really kind of take their time and fall in love. So we've got a lovely, good moving Gervin colt. We have a beautiful, really imposing Constitution colt who's having a great year. We have a Loggins colt, so a first crop sire, and Loggins certainly was memorable on the racetrack. Being such an outstanding racehorse, being a son of Ghost Sapper, he's a sire line I think we as an industry are intrigued by as an outcross, and this is just a lovely individual. And then lastly, we have a beautiful Gunrunner filly, first foal out of an Into Mischief mare, who she too just exudes class, and she's so sweet. I'm looking at her now. She doesn't have a bit in her mouth, and she's just playing with her handler, and just such a classy, kind, quality individual. So we got a little bit of everything.
I was just going to say the Gunrunner filly really caught my eye. I was taking a look at the consignment and taking a look at their pictures and videos and stuff, and whoa, I mean, she really caught my eye. But
thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wish I could afford to buy her. But
I know a guy at Fasig. He might provide some credit, Okay,
we'll talk about how much credit we're going to need, and we'll go from there. But
come on, Angela, support the home team.
We'll see how Whitney card goes today, and I'll see how much my bidding budget comes to. But for anybody, yeah, exactly. She really did catch my eye. I mean, they're all beautiful, but she really stood out to me. Now, for anybody unfamiliar with maybe getting a horse to a sale, what point do you get these horses and really start to prepare them, and what goes into getting them ready to go to the sales ring and really be at their best?
Sure, it's a great question. So, for us, horses, as we like to say, we do a lot of tours at the farm, and we hope that people leave a tour knowing that horses are herd animals, and they're prey animals. And so, we're predators, yet we humans interject ourselves in their kind of rearing, but the race is the manifest of these herd dynamics, right? So we want to raise a horse that trusts the humans, right, but also is competitive in their environment. So starting in like March, we'll start to make a play on, we'll start to have Fasig come out, and they'll look and they'll see, and this is really before the yearlings have hit their kind of spring growth cycle, right? They're still in their winter coats, and they're still kind of burly, if you will, for lack of a better word. And we'll kind of start getting a line on, this could be a nice Saratoga horse. So that's March into April, right around the Derby, we'll start to kind of like change their feed routine. So we'll start to feed them a bit more, complementing this like spring growth that they're going to naturally have. And then, we'll keep them turned out. We'll keep them playing with their friends. We want them to kind of really leave, have that competition, that that joie de vivre and, desire to be the best. And we'll then just start from increasing their feed, and then we'll start handling them more. We'll start exercising them. We're hand walking them. We're putting them on a walker and just trying to get them fit, if you will, because they're going to be paraded 200 times over 4 or 5 days in an effort to hope that they find their next home and, the dream carries forward, for lack of a better word.
Price Bell Jr., Millridge, joining us here on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Price, you look at that impressive resume that Millridge has put together over the years, and I'm going to read it verbatim. Since 2000, Millridge has raised or sold 43 Grade 1 winners, with a remarkable achievement of 39 of those raised on the farm. That's spectacular. Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. It's a great compliment to the team at the farm. I think what's most telling in that stat is that we probably, through that time, have averaged 60 to 65 foals a year. So we aren't a huge shop. We were very much a boutique operation, and so to have those results is a great testament to the team at the farm, to our clients who give us the opportunity to breed and raise their horses. And then, we're part of the foundation, but then they go and they're taught how to be ridden. And so, and our hope is to get a good solid foundation so that those that teach them in the next phase can do so easily. And then ultimately with the trainers that get them to the track and their team, we're one link in the chain. And in order to get across the line in a Grade 1, all links have to be strong. So it's a tremendous blessing.
This sale really begins, it's a boutique sale. Only 230 horses were cataloged, so you have to be elite when you go to Saratoga. But it begins the yearling sale season. I know we had the sale at Fasig-Tipton in July as well. But now you look ahead after this to Keeneland September, and that's a completely different type of sale. It's a selected yearling sale, but a bit different than this Saratoga sale. Talk about the individuals who look to get ready for that sale.
It is, it's obviously it's the quote, the market, because there are 4,000 horses that'll go to it. And within that market, you have all these different quote sub-markets, right? You've got people who shop book 1, 2, 3, 4. And so within getting those horses ready for that sale, it's as much as anything about where am I going to place this horse so that it is put forward as above average for that submarket, if that makes sense, where it can kind of stand out amongst the whole group. And so, and you use this sale in the same way, right? So, there might be horses in this sale that may be later book horses that we've placed here because we really believe in them and we want the market to see them. And they might not see them at Keeneland because there's just, frankly, not enough stalls and time to get all the horses in front of everybody at the same time. So I'm not sure if that answered the question, but you try and take the entire year crop, and our job is to try and get each horse in front of the right marketplace in the best interest of our clients.
Price, I really appreciate the visit, as always. It's fun to catch up. We'll do it again before the September sale, but appreciate the visit here this morning. Congrats on all the success, and can't wait to see the future in that consignment coming up on Monday and Tuesday night.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Mike. And Angela, great to meet you, and look forward to seeing you in Lexington sometime.
Definitely. Nice to talk to you.
You too, and best wishes on the carryover. This filly goes through on Tuesday, so you got 2 more days.
Perfect. All right, I'll be saving every dollar I've got.
This is what makes them so always be closing, right? There you go. Well done, Price.
Exactly. Talk to you soon.
See you, buddy. Yeah, he's so good, Angela, and you listen to him talk, and the way he explains things, and the way that Millridge approaches their business, and you can hear the reasons for all of their success when he speaks to it.
No stone unturned.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah. You know that when you're going to be looking at a horse, you're going to be able to have every question that you have about that horse answered, and you're probably going to leave wanting to buy that horse no matter how out of your price range it may be. I guess that's just me talking, though.
Hey, you got to get to work. You got a horse to buy.
I know. I got a lot of work to do, I guess, before that sale. I'm not giving myself much time, but do take a look at the whole consignment, and especially that gun runner filly if you are heading to the sale.
More sales talk coming up in our next segment. Boyd Browning Jr. is the president of Fasig-Tipton. He'll be here right around 9 o'clock Eastern to preview the entire sale. Jon Green the general manager of DJ Stables, the owners of Nitrogen, who takes on the boys in the Whitney today. We will talk to him at 9:20. And at 9:40, our special remembrance, our special tribute to jockey Robby Albarado. All of that still to come. We'll get to a break. We're back with more. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Woodford Feed, where tradition merges with technology. Family owned since 1940 and providing exceptional customer service, Woodford Feed specializes in the highest quality feed, using only the finest ingredients to ensure optimal nutrition for your horses. In addition, Woodford Feed can help with all your farm needs, including field seed, fertilizer, and weed control. So whether your horse is sprinting around the racetrack or has a foal by her side, count on Woodford Feed to provide the quality nutrition necessary to perform at the highest level. Woodford Feed, Versailles, Kentucky.
All over America, people are taking the National Radon Test. Have you? Excuse me, have you heard of radon?
Is that a gas?
Is it something that comes up out the ground or something?
It's like poison gas.
Something dangerous that you're supposed to check on to make sure it's not in your home.
Now it's your turn. Answer true or false. Radon is a radioactive gas. True. Radon is a radioactive gas. True or false? The Office of the Surgeon General recommends that all homes be tested for radon. True, your home should be tested.
I didn't know that, no.
True or false, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. True.
True, I didn't know that.
Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer. Answer true or false. Homes with radon problems can be fixed. True. Homes with radon problems can be fixed.
So what do you do about it? I'm going to dial the number and call.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
If I don't take care of it, nobody else will.
Keep your family safe from radon. Call now.
1-800-SOS-RADON.
Half of young adults are at risk of hearing damage from loud sounds. So why is this happening? We know not to bake in the sun for hours and to get our eyes checked regularly. We buckle up to save lives. And we know that smoking kills. So do poor diet choices and poor life choices. But why are we so reckless with our hearing? We take hearing for granted. Hearing damage from loud sounds is permanent, but preventable. We take common sense steps for our health every day. Let's make hearing part of it. Wear earplugs. Turn it down. Give your ears a rest. Love your ears. Learn more at hearinghealthfoundation.org. Keep listening.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcasts using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow, or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. Angela Herman, the Countess of Canterbury, winding down the first of 3 hours with you here this morning. We are with you right up until 11 a.m. Eastern, and thrilled to have you along for the ride on a very busy show. Talking about the racing at Saratoga this afternoon, the sale coming up on Monday and Tuesday evening, and of course looking back on what we saw yesterday with the Hall of Fame inductions. You had a chance to hear from Miguel Clement earlier in the program, his dad Christoph getting in. That was special, emotional, as he described it, for his entire family. And then they come back and win the Hall of Fame stakes yesterday afternoon at Saratoga. So Angela, as we said earlier, doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, I don't think you could write it up much better than that to get that win, especially on the turf on that day with that kind of performance, and with Manny Franco having the kind of day that he had. I mean, you couldn't write that up any better than it played out yesterday. And of course today, still more opportunity to get into the winner's circle. We heard a little bit about that horse. If you want to hear more about Miguel's entrant today in the Derby, you're gonna have to listen back, HRRN, and listen to any of our shows on there.
Yep, horseracingradio.net. Poll question for you this morning, and then I want to tell you about a place that you're going to want to go eat when you get to Lexington. I have more Hall of Fame conversation here in just a second, too. But poll question for you this morning, asking you which horse is more likely to win their respective Breeders' Cup Challenge race at Saratoga this afternoon. And we kept it pretty simple. You're talking about Deterministic, the defending champion in the 4-star Dave, Magnitude in the Whitney. Both of those races win in your ends. And then you can choose both are going to win or neither will win. And you can go to @HRRN on X to let us know your vote. You can go to Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let us know your thoughts. Angela, which way do you go with that question?
Well, I think neither, maybe. That's kind of the way that I was leaning. I know. It's just that they're in very tough. That's all. It's just a lot of things are going to have to go right. To win one of these kind of races once is going to be tough. Magnitude, I can't picture him going out to the lead and nobody going after him. They all have their work cut out for them because not many of them are as naturally quick. I mean, they can't even keep up with him for a couple of furlongs, much less that long at that kind of pace. But I'm just going to lean neither at this point. That's my initial lean, but we'll see if I get talked into one of them or both of them through the course of the show, because I almost got talked into Deterministic, but I think that's just a really tough field for both of them.
No, they're pretty tough horses, too. 55% of HRN Nation now saying it is Magnitude in the Whitney who is more likely to win their respective Breeders' Cup Challenge race this afternoon. Okay, speaking of Breeders' Cup, the Breeders' Cup coming back to Keeneland this fall, late October. You're going to want to be there. And if you're going to be there, you want to get your reservations now for an incredible meal at Tony's of Lexington. And I was thinking about how every week I come on here and I tell you about the steaks because they are absolutely incredible. The best steak you're going to have everywhere. But there are other menu items that they offer there. Tony is Italian, so he has his rigatoni, which a lot of people really like. They do an incredible job with all of their salads and their fish. Their sea bass, I'm told, I'm not a fish person, I'm told is simply tremendous. So they offer a lot of other things. They have a linguine with tempura shrimp. Yes, I'm reading their menu right now because I'm getting hungry. A penne carbonara. They have just so many different, but then they have their side dishes. And Angela, I told you about the bourbon whipped sweet potatoes. The mac and cheese is incredible. They have truffle fries, which are just out of this world. So many different things that you can get when you go to Tony's of Lexington.
It is too early to be this hungry. Please, you have to stop reading the menu. Just go and taste it for yourself, folks.
And I just wolfed down some breakfast during Legends of the Turf, so I'm getting hungry again looking at the Tony's menu.
Well, looks like that bourbon sweet potato mash is going to be coming your way sooner than you thought. You're going to have to go get some.
Yeah, exactly. All right, you know what we have to get next is hour number 2. We're going to do that with Boyd Browning Jr., the president of Fasig-Tipton. He's going to kick it off for us. I told you I had more Hall of Fame conversation coming up. This pertains to trainer John Sheriffs, who was also inducted yesterday. We'll get to that later in the second hour of the program, but coming up next, it is Boyd Browning Jr. We continue to talk about the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale. Back with hour number 2, right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back. Mike Penna, Angela Herman, hour 2 of 3. Plenty more to get to. Boyd Browning Jr. set to join us momentarily. Jon Green, 9:20. Our tribute to jockey Robby Albarado at 9:40. 10 o'clock Eastern begins hour number 3. Kevin Kilroy has 3 races for you to watch and wager on with TwinSpires this afternoon in our TwinSpires triple play. 10:20, Kurt Becker takes you on his weekly Stroll Through Racing History presented by Keeneland. And at 10:30, Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin will both be with us for I Ask, They Answer, and we'll tackle some of the sport's hottest topics. And Angela, we haven't even touched on this yet. We've been on the air for an hour now with this show. And one of the things we're going to dive into with Dale and Tim is all of the news that came out this week pertaining to the Triple Crown. It is a different series than it was just last week when we were on the air.
And it's a very polarizing issue just because there have been some, I guess, blows traded between these big companies. And I know that some people say it's not a personal thing. Some people say that it is. It is a debate that's been going on ever since they announced this new series of 3-year-old races. Did not include the Preakness, but this is also not set in stone. I know this is something that's been introduced, but I'm sure it's something that can be changed around in the future and modified. So I'm curious to see how this does play out. But boy, the debate since it has been announced has been hot and heavy.
Yeah, set in stone for 2027. We'll see what happens following next year's series. Going to be interesting to see how this develops. We'll talk again to Dale and Tim with I Ask, They Answer. We will ask them. They will answer our questions coming up at 10:30 Eastern. You know who else is going to answer a few questions for us is my good friend Boyd Browning Jr. does a tremendous job at Fasig-Tipton, and their 105th edition of the Saratoga Sale kicks off on Monday evening in Saratoga Springs, New York. Boyd, good morning.
Good morning, Mike, and I am so pleased that we've brought in some real talent to be your co-host. It's the best news I've heard today.
About time, right?
I mean, you and I are both slow learners at times, but we sometimes get to the right answer eventually. So.
Well, very nice to meet you, Boyd. Hello,
Nice
good morning.
Good morning.
All right, well, Angela, ask him a question.
Okay, well,
yeah.
yeah, here we go with the Saratoga Sale, and my goodness, some of the graduates in recent times from this year. I mean, you have Sierra Leone last year. We've had Clico, journalism, some of the names that have recently passed through the ring. Set up this year's sale for me. Tell me how it's coming together.
We're very, very, very excited about this year's sale. Tremendous momentum from previous year's sales results in terms of from the sales side. But more importantly, we've had great success for the buyers on the racing side of things. You know, as you mentioned, there's a number of fine graduates on the front cover. The back cover is full of fantastic runners that have come out of the sale, and it honestly is a tribute to the men and women who bring us the highest quality horses in the world. It's we're very fortunate that people love coming to Saratoga to sell horses, and we're fortunate people love coming to Saratoga to buy horses. It's a unique setting. It's a unique place. It's to me, it's the brightest light in thoroughbred racing in the United States every year. So it's a race meet and an experience and a sale that we look forward to 12 months a year.
Price Bell was with us earlier in the show, Boyd, and he walked through the process that is involved with selecting these horses to come to Saratoga. And it's an elite group. Only 230 selected yearlings were cataloged. He walked through that process. This doesn't happen overnight.
Oh, no. And honestly, it's like virtually everything in the thoroughbred industry. It's not a year-long process. It's not a 2-year-long process. I mean, the process starts when you mate your mare and you're trying to breed her to the right stallion. And then you hope that the mare and the stallion produce a foal with good conformation. And the stallion continues to be popular, quote unquote, doing his job. And then, you got to go through, foals are kind of like teenagers and so forth. They're all out there trying to harm themselves damn near every day or damn near every night. So it's a process. Like this year we probably looked at 2,500 yearlings throughout our team. We start looking in March and go through early May and have teams that are literally traveling throughout the United States looking at the yearlings that are submitted to the sale and trying to identify those that we think work physically and from a pedigree standpoint. And it gets narrowed down. Basically 10% of them make it to the sale.
And if they are a first-timer going to the sale, you mentioned what a unique experience it is. It's my first time. I'm going to the Saratoga Sale. What should I expect, and what should I go and see and do that I might not think of right off the bat?
Well, it's the most unique sale, certainly in North America. We're situated on 6 acres, surrounded by residences on 2 sides here in Saratoga. Monday and Tuesday night, the place will be absolutely jam-packed. The grounds will be jam-packed. Now, a lot of those people aren't interested in quote unquote buying a horse, and they really aren't there for the event. They're there for the event, not to transact business. So it'll be kind of half the grounds will be like one of the world's biggest cocktail parties in terms of people out there but it connects them to the horse. It connects them. They love coming to the sale. It gives them the opportunity to see some of the best horses in the world, to some of the top buyers of the world, some of the top trainers of the world. And it's always pretty cool. Like, hey, you can say, I saw this horse as a yearling, and 2 years later, you might see him running, in the Triple Crown, or 3 years later, you might see him running in a Whitney. And it just gives you the connection. The energy that you'll feel on these sales grounds on Monday night and Tuesday night will be unmatched anywhere else in the United States, and I think arguably the world during our sale nights. It's and hopefully there'll be lots of fireworks and lots of horses sold for very significant amounts of money. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, each session begins 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're there in the Saratoga area, don't miss attending. It is fantastic. You don't, as Boyd said, you don't even have to buy a horse. Just come enjoy the atmosphere and learn about it. Maybe one day you do become an owner at the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, but it's not required to show up. But you're going to be impressed with the horse flesh that you're going to see. And Boyd, I know you can't necessarily single out, certain horses, but tell me about some of the buzz horses that you're hearing about that are going to attract a lot of attention.
Come on, Mike. I can't do too much into that. Good try. The good news for us is that it's a very, very, very deep catalog. Literally, we believe each horse in this catalog stands on his or her own merits and deserves to have the opportunity to be exposed to the best buyers in the world. We fortunately have a very, very well-balanced catalog. We've got a number of yearlings by the top stallions in the world in terms of proven stallions. And we've got a number of yearlings by some of the first-year stallions that are new to the marketplace. And one of the things that we really strive for in Saratoga is to have a balanced and diverse catalog in terms of pedigrees and sire power. And I think we've got that. The one thing that we absolutely will not compromise on, the pedigree here or there might be a little, somebody say that's not a quote unquote Saratoga pedigree. When you go see the horse physically, they're going to be a good looking horse. They're going to be athletic. They're going to be good movers. We will not compromise on the physical conformation of the horses that are in the sale because the buyers have come to expect it and to demand it from us. And that's why they keep coming back, and that's why they keep having success in terms of on the racetrack, because they're buying strong, athletic, well-conformed horses.
Boyd Browning Jr., such a pro. Boyd, I know you can answer this next question. After the Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale, you're going to segue into the New York Bred Sale, and that is always a sale, and it continues to grow every year, but it attracts a lot of fireworks there, too.
Yeah, Mike, honestly, this is hands down the best New York Bred catalog we've ever had, both in terms of physicals and pedigrees. We feel like the Saratoga Sale, the main sale, is the best we've ever had. But I'm not going to say it's a quantum leap in the New York Bred Sale, but it's a significant leap as more and more people are discovering the benefits of breeding in New York. And the beauty of the New York Bred is this year on the catalog cover are 3 Grade 1 winners. So you've got the opportunity with the New York Bred to compete at the highest levels, but you also have the opportunity to compete for an unbelievable $60 million of purses and a kind of a restricted situation there. So it's the best of both worlds. It will be a fantastic sale. We've seen, they go through the same selection process as we do for the Saratoga Sale. Those New York Breds are part of the 2,500 horses that we evaluated. Clearly, the criteria is slightly different because the main sale averaged $600,000 last year, and the New York Bred Sale averaged a little over $100,000. But the one thing that they're going to have is, once again, our reputation has been built on athletic, good physical conformation. And the horses in the New York Bred Sale are going to be good, physically conformed horses.
Well, now I want to buy the New York Bred or a horse from the Saratoga Sale even more than I did 20 minutes ago. But for people like me who would maybe want to be involved in a partnership with one of these New York Breds or a Saratoga yearling that is involved in a partnership, what would be some resources you would recommend for people who would like to maybe be a part of the ownership experience?
Well, I think the partnership model is absolutely a great way to get introduced. It's a great way to learn about the industry from a racing standpoint and also from a relationship standpoint. So what I would tell you is, to me, our industry is like virtually every other walk of life. It's built upon relationships. And there's some folks that you might immediately meet and say, man, this feels right. This feels comfortable in terms of how they approach their business and how they do things. And there's others that you say, their model or their approach is a little bit different than what I'm comfortable with. There's not a right or wrong approach. There's not a right or wrong answer. That's why there's, 20 partnerships probably that are thriving and prospering throughout the United States. But it's the relationships. It's the same way with like when people are buying horses and who should be my trainer? Who's the best trainer? There is not one best trainer. There is not one best partnership. But it's, you look at their track record, but more importantly, you talk to the people. And you can talk to some of their existing clients and say, hey, can you refer me to some of the people who have been involved? And one of the things that I think is really important for people getting involved in the game, and not everybody's going to come in here and buy a yearling. It's going to cost $600,000. We've got to have our industry's got to be built upon where somebody with $6,000 can come in here and learn about the game and get the experience. Because hey, the reality is the highs are really, really, really high, but there are lows. Most of the horses, they're not all going to be Grade 1 winners, and people need to come into the game with a realistic expectation. But the value of the game, the value of owning a horse is not necessarily from the financial perspective. It's when you own a piece of a horse or you own a horse and you see him or her coming down that lane, winning a race at Saratoga or at Colonial or at Del Mar or at Belmont or wherever it happens to be, wherever you're running, it's a feeling that's unmatched. You can't, if I could bottle that euphoria, that feeling of success, I'd be like I'd own the world because I'd be living on an island and just bottling it. But it is an experience that can't be described and it really can't be replicated. So I would say get involved, do a little research, talk to 3 or 4 different people. You can Google, partnerships or, a lot of people run some ads. We obviously don't refer anybody to any one group or any certain level of groups, but there's people have a good track record of success and they have a good track record of treating people right. And that's what I would say is just use the same criteria for choosing a partner that you would in life, whether it's a spouse or whether it's a neighbor. That's where you can't choose your neighbor sometimes, unfortunately. But I mean, but use your judgment and do some research. Don't jump into making a decision. Do a little homework. And your chances of staying in are going to be a lot higher.
I love what you said about relationships because I've had other people ask me about getting involved with the sport and how they would do it. And I tell them the very same thing. You want to find that person that you click with, that's on the same page philosophically, that gets where you're trying to go and help you achieve your goals, all of those things. And it only comes through relationships. Do you think Fasig-Tipton has developed so many wonderful relationships and is so well respected in the industry, and that's taken years and years and years and years to accomplish, since 1898, for example. Do you think that that's what's made your digital sales platform so successful, because Fasig-Tipton is so trusted?
Well, yeah, and I think it's not the brand Fasig-Tipton that's trusted. Well, I think hopefully we have a good reputation.
Yeah.
It's the men and women who work for our organization that try to do the right thing. They try to tell people the truth. They try to give them good, honest advice. They work hard. And the other factor is, and you can't teach it, they love the game. They're passionate about the game. They believe in they're fans. And a lot of them are vested, but they may own a horse. They've got family. It's not a job; it's a lifestyle. And I hope that's what makes it. I hope that's what allows us to be successful in our live sales and our digital sales. And we really don't differentiate in terms of like the effort that we put into it, and we don't say, well, that's a digital sale horse or that's a live sale horse. Once again, it's a relationship, and you're trying to figure out what the right spot for each individual horse is and each individual person that owns that horse.
Boyd, I can't thank you enough for all of your support of what we do here on the network. It's always a delight to have you on the program and to talk about Fasig-Tipton and the team and the horses. And I know that this is going to be incredible on Monday and Tuesday evening. The 105th Saratoga Sale begins 6:30 p.m. Eastern each evening, and it's going to be wonderful. And I really appreciate the visit this morning, my friend.
Well, thank you all very much. And as I said, good move. Well done, Mike. Okay.
It was such a pleasure talking to you this morning.
All right. You all have a good day, and we look forward to seeing you here this week or next week. Okay.
Bye, Boyd.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, he's awesome. And yeah, I love that relationship angle when people are talking about getting it, because that's what you have to do. You have to. It's so much easier when you have people that are on the same page as you are when you're navigating the waters of horse ownership, because it can be a bumpy ride sometimes.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Every different relationship in your life is going to be what's right for you, and horse ownership is no different. If something doesn't fit well for you, there might be a partnership that can have you more involved, less involved, whatever it is that you're looking for. Like he said, there's probably something out there for you, and that wasn't always the case. There weren't always people looking to sell just a portion of a horse. It was half of a horse, all of a horse, or none of a horse. So with that ownership climate changing in the country, it's a cool time to get involved. And boy, if you could pick up some of these horses from Saratoga, you might be involved with some of the best horses of their generation.
Coming up at the end of the show, right around 10:55 Eastern, we're going to give you the answer to this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question. Angela, what is that question?
Man, if we haven't got your mojo working already, I don't know how this is going to do it, but it is a toughie. You might know that the legendary horse Kelso won the Whitney 3 times, but who was the only other horse to win the Whitney 3 times? No Googling.
Speaking of relationships, DJ Stables and Mark Cassidy have got a pretty good one. They've had one for a while. We're going to talk to Jon Green of DJ Stables next. We'll talk about his champion Nitrogen going in today's Whitney. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The National HBPA is continuously working to protect the health and welfare of horses by advocating and funding research to help reduce equine injuries, lobbying for a national testing lab to oversee and establish absolute uniform laboratory protocols, advocating for every track to undergo an annual independent surface assessment, passionately supporting off-the-track thoroughbred retirement facilities and adoption groups, and so much more. See additional HBPA initiatives at nationalhbpa.com.
Get ready for the biggest night of the year at Charlestown on Friday, August 28th. It's the Grade 2 $1 million Charlestown Classic and the Grade 2 $750,000 Charlestown Oaks, the richest sprint race for 3-year-old fillies in North America. The spectacular card features 9 stakes races worth over $2.7 million. The action gets started with a special first post time of 5 o'clock Eastern. It's the Grade 2 Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 Charlestown Oaks on Friday, August 28th here at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races.
Agriculture drives economic impact, and it has a powerful partner, the horse. Horses aren't just part of our heritage, they're a living force in Virginia's economy, contributing more than $2 billion every year, reaching far beyond the racetrack to power farms, jobs, and communities. From small stables to major events, horses sustain the rural heartbeat that built the state. Because when the horse industry is strong, agriculture thrives, and Virginia wins.
The biggest day in Washington State racing is now even bigger and better. On Sunday, August 16th, watch and wager on 6 stakes races, including the 91st running of the prestigious Long Acres Mile from Emerald Downs. Post time is 1:50 p.m. Pacific time. Play the All Stakes Pick 4, Pick 5, and Pick 6, and don't forget all Pick 3s have a 12% takeout. For more race day and ticket information, visit emeralddowns.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
I was still trying to prove to everybody before the Ogden Phipps. There were a lot of doubters out there said that I shouldn't be running her on the grass. I just wanted to prove them wrong. That was my first goal. You know, after a performance, you know, the first thing Jose said when he came back, when they announced she was 1/5 off the track record. He said if I let her run, she would have broke the track record.
That's Mark Casse talking about Nitrogen and that dominating win in the Ogden Phipps. She'll try to go back-to-back with victories in graded stakes, and she'll try to do that against the boys in a stacked edition of the Whitney later today at Saratoga. Nitrogen owned by DJ Stables. Jon Green is the general manager of DJ Stables. He joins us now to talk about his champion filly. She is so good, John.
Yeah, no, it's really a blessing to have a homebred like this at this level. But first and foremost, Angela, we haven't met yet, but you've been a great addition to the show, and I concur with everything that Boyd said.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, and good morning. Okay.
John, nice having you on, buddy.
I'm flattered. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. No, it's, anytime you have a filly like a Nitrogen, it's like I said, it's such a blessing, but it's also just a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to share this type of an athlete with the industry. And, that was part of the calculus as to why we're running today in the Whitney.
Mark, in that quote we just heard, and that was, by the way, when Mark joined us on this show after the Ogden Phipps, he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He said he wanted to prove everyone wrong who said he should be running her on the grass after she suffered a couple of defeats in the Azeri and then in the Apple Blossom. Well, he proved everybody wrong. What does today's race mean for Mark Casse and for the team?
Well, I can tell you that the filly is hitting the heights that she is exactly because Mark Casse and his team have had her literally from when she was being broken as a yearling. And the quick story is Mark had won the Eclipse Award with Wonder Wheel, and we said to Mark, "Hey, you can either take a bonus or you can go down to Kentucky and look at our 20 or so yearlings, and if there's one that you want us to pull from the sales, because we sell everything we put everything into the yearling sales, we'll go ahead and pull it out and you can train that one." And guys, I would think that 90% of the people out there would say, I'm going to take the cash. I'm going to take the money because it's guaranteed and I'll put it in my pocket. And in this industry, there are no guarantees. And Mark went down and saw our 20 or so yearlings and called me and he said, there's no question in my mind, you guys need to keep this Medaglia d'Oro filly. And I said, okay, is that your final answer? Because I'm writing you a check otherwise. He said, nope, that's my final answer. She breathes different air. And that's why she got the name Nitrogen, because we looked up on the element table to find gases that were lighter than air, and nitrogen was available. So, really from the beginning, Mark has had extreme confidence in this filly, so much so that he was given up, guaranteed monies to be able to train her. And that was just the first step of Nitrogen showing us that she could outdo and was better than her competition.
Well, she's taken so many steps through her career, and she's been able to progress, not just from a numbers standpoint, but through the class and through the surfaces and everything. What step do you think was it that really was the biggest one for her in her career? Because she's just been on such a great trajectory. What was the leap forward for Nitrogen?
That's a great question, Angela. I think there were probably a couple. I think when we decided to run her as a maiden in the Breeders' Cup juvenile turf, fillies, that was kind of a leap forward when she went from just kind of and also ran. I think she was like 30-1 in that race, and she came running down the stretch and got third. And I remember turning to my dad and saying, "This is fantastic. We just placed in a Grade 1 race. We own the family. Now the filly's going to be worth so much." And it, I look back to that day, and that was a really important step for her. But then we gave her time off afterwards, and she hated it. She wanted to be in training so badly that we curtailed her 3-month vacation that we were going to give her. And she came back early in her 3-year-old year and then, won a couple of big races for us. And it's just every single time we've put, we think she's hitting a glass ceiling, she excels through it. We thought maybe she was just a turf horse. And then when she ran that huge race on the Turf to Dirt Wonder again and won by 17 lengths, we were kind of like, okay, we know she trains well in the dirt, but that was another step forward. So I think just all throughout her career, we've thrown these challenges at her, and she's basically laughed at us and said, okay, let's try another. Let's see if we can do this again. So when she won the Ogden Phipps and almost broke the track record, kind of in a hand ride, it really, there were only two paths to go. We were going to continue to run her, maybe in the Shoe V or maybe in one of the Philly races at Monmouth at our home track, or run her in the Whitney. And honestly, I was against running her in the Whitney against the boys. And Mark sat us down, my dad and I, and said, most of the time, I would agree with you. Torpedo Anna had a good run. They ran her against the boys. She didn't quite finish up her career the way that everyone thought. Swiss Skydiver, I mean, you can come up with countless examples. He said, but I've campaigned Teppan against the boys, and she actually took a step forward. I campaigned Got Stormy, Dixie Strike, Lexi Lou, Wonder Goodell, Catch a Glimpse. And he gave us like 7 or 8 different examples of horses that he's trained, fillies that he's trained, that ran against the boys and then had a successful second half of their career. And, we talk all the time about Nitrogen is such a gift for us that we need to be good stewards for her and keep her, challenged, but also out of harm's way. But we feel like with Mark training her, he knows her best, and he felt very confident that she should run in the Whitney, and that's why we're here.
She's also 3 for 3 at Saratoga. John, how much did that undefeated record at the Spa play into the decision to run in the Whitney?
It absolutely added a factor and a dimension to it. She's undefeated here on the dirt at Saratoga. She's been training here, literally since Memorial Day. So this is really her second home. And we feel like also the 1.125 distance is what she wants. She's a big, almost 17-hand, 1,100-pound filly, and she needs to be able to stretch her legs. And running a mile or 1.16 miles, which a lot of these, graded stake races for fillies, those are the distances, just don't really suit her as well. So the fact that we can get the extra panel, the fact that we can run her from her backyard, she's been training here, she loves it up here, absolutely all factors into the equation. And guys, look, I'm going to tell you a funny story, because we were like, all right, we're going to announce this, the week after the Ogden Phipps, we're going to announce she's going to the Whitney, and we'll see who comes in. Well, you know what? Nobody backed off. There's 6 Grade 1 winners in this race, and it's arguably, I think, going to be the race of the year, and I think the horse of the year is going to come out of this race.
I can't doubt you there. I mean, I was going to say, size up the competition and take us through the races. You would love to see it. And you are going to get John Velasquez in the saddle. So tell us about the decision to go with him and how you think he's going to get along with her.
Yeah, the nice thing about Nitrogen is when we knew that Jose was going to make his business decision to ride Magnitude, and I don't question his decision whatsoever. If it was me or if I was his advisor or agent, I'd probably say the same thing. You go with the horse that's going to be the favorite in the Whitney. He's probably going to be the favorite or second choice in the Classic. And, as a jockey, you get a lifetime breeding right in the stallion deals, which we can't compete with, obviously, because, our filly is not going to, retire to stud. So I understand why Jose made the decision. That being said, the way Johnny Velasquez is riding the past couple of weeks, I don't think there's a step down at all. As a matter of fact, I think that other than the point that Johnny V's never ridden her before, he's riding just as well as any jockey in the country. So I think that, initially we understood Jose's decision, and if we end up running in a race that Magnitude's not in, I'm sure that Jose is probably going to come back on the horse unless Johnny just does a phenomenal job and we move forward with him. But really, there's no drop down in talent. There's no drop down in strategy. And I think Johnny V is going to fit her like a glove.
Yeah, well, you get the Hall of Famer, a guy who's just been one of the best to ever do it. So, again, no drop down there, certainly. And, John, you can talk about the fact that you respect the business decision by Jose Ortiz and all those kinds of things, but I'm pretty sure you want to beat him and prove him wrong this afternoon.
Yeah, the nice thing, like Mark and I joke all the time, because Mark and I are vertically challenged. We're not tall guys, so we both have Napoleon complexes. I get it. I don't have the chip on my shoulder quite like he does with Nitrogen, because I think she's proven that who she is, and hopefully she'll continue to prove that she belongs to be in the Hall of Fame. she certainly doesn't run with a chip on her shoulder. She runs, with the grace and enjoyment that you like to see any horse, run out there. But I'm not going to lie to you. I want to beat everybody in the race for different reasons. I want to beat all the boys in the race because I want to prove that our filly is the best horse in the country. And it doesn't matter, who else is in the starting gate. That being said, guys, there's 4 horses in here that ran lifetime bests. There's 6 Grade 1 winners and $7 million earners. Whoever wins this race is probably the one that gets the best trip and gets the best setup. And I think there's a lot of equality in this race, talent-wise. It's just really who's going to be able to, to be able to navigate their way through and get the easiest way to the finish line.
John, why has this relationship with Mark Casse been so successful?
That's a great question, Mike. I think, we are at a point now where we've been in the game for over 40 years, and we've campaigned claimers and allowance and stake horses and even had a couple of grade 1s and champions. And Mark, on his own path, has a even greater, lengthier resume than we do. And I think that when we both sat down 6, maybe 7 years ago to form this alliance, we had a very open and honest conversation. And Mark said, you guys have had a lot of experiences that I haven't. I've had experiences that you have. As long as we have an open line of communication and talk to each other and bounce ideas off each other, I think this is going to be able to work out. And we're very entrepreneurial. I think Mark is a very entrepreneurial trainer and is willing to try things but not risk things. And I think there's a big difference. Some people will risk it all on a horse. And we feel like, especially with a horse like Nitrogen, we set her up in a position to succeed while pushing the envelope of what she can do and what we feel like, she'll fulfill. So I think communication with Mark and his team have been extraordinary. There's a trust level because we both come at it with different attributes and different viewpoints. So there are times where Mark will, be the deciding vote, and there's times where my dad or I will be the deciding vote. And we all want that decision to succeed. We all want it to work. It's not like, well, I wasn't going to do this, so I hope it doesn't work. We're in it because we want to, absolutely win the most number of races we can, develop the horses to their best levels that they possibly can be, and then start all over again because I'm going to meet Mark in about a half an hour over at Saratoga, over at the Fasig-Tipton Sale, and start looking for next year's crop. So you never stop. Communication's important, and we both have this unsatiable thirst to find these top horses.
Oh, well, you certainly got one with Nitrogen, and I do wish you luck with finding the next crop, but that's not all that's going on today in Saratoga. You got horses at Colonial and Woodbine to do today too, so touch on them quickly.
Yeah, we have 6 horses running today, ranging again from a first-time starter with Joe Orsino, who's been training for us also for over 30 years, a frosted filly named Fib over at Colonial. We have Exile, first-time Epicenter running up in Canada that we think very highly of, has some bullet workouts. Joe also has Spinelli in a stake. We have Ewing that we own with our friends at West Point Thoroughbreds, trying the turf over in the Colonial Dash at Colonial Downs. So we have quite a few going on. We're going to be very busy, but that's certainly not to say that I'm not going to be pacing back and forth all over the place. And I know my 2 sisters and my wife are listening to the show right now, and I know I'm going to have a few phone calls to them and from them trying to talk me off the ledge. And so it'll be a lot of fun. I'm glad that we have a lot going on today because otherwise, I'm sure I'd be just off the walls. But for right now, I'm surprised. I woke up this morning and there was like this unusual calm that I woke to this morning. And on a race day for Nitrogen, usually it's not like that. You get a little geeked up, you get a little excited, and you can't wait for the show to start. Honestly, I don't know why I'm so relaxed today, but for whatever reason, I just know in my heart that this is the right decision. And she could run a lifetime best number and end up 4th in this race, and I wouldn't be disappointed because we're trying something that is out of the norm. We're trying something that's hopefully the best for the industry by having this rivalry, pickup. But I also know that we're putting her in the exact right spot, and it's just up to her to see if she can fulfill the destiny. But if she can't, I'm not hanging my head, because she's just been a phenomenal, like I said, blessing for us and for our program and for our family, and I just couldn't be prouder that she's representing ourselves.
John, over the years, I've talked about my race day superstitions when I'm at the track and I'm betting, and it's not just at the track. I do it at casinos too. I have crazy superstitions there. How about for you? Do you have any race day superstitions?
I do. I like to watch the race from the same TV. And win, lose, or draw, I don't know. I always think that's my lucky TV. Mm-hmm. I am going to be wearing the same exact outfit down to my socks and underwear that I did when she won the Ogden Phipps. So that's another one. And for whatever reason, I have to make sure that the money that's in my wallet all face the same way and all are in the right order from a denomination standpoint. So yeah, those are my superstitions. Do they always work? Hell no. If they always worked, then everyone would do it, and it wouldn't be unique to me. But for whatever reason, those things always come to play and always come to mind. And in this race in particular, the new superstition, I think, is I'm really going to be thinking about my mom, who passed away 3 years ago. And Mom was instrumental in helping me select the mating to that ultimately, got us nitrogen. So I know she's looking down.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I know she'll be with you and the team today, and it's going to be a very special day at Saratoga. John, really appreciate the visit. All the best with nitrogen and all the horses that you're running later today. We will be watching and can't wait to see her strutter stuff.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And you kicked the day off in the right direction. I really can't thank you enough.
Thanks, John. Jon Green, DJ Stables. Listen, she's a tremendous filly. And now today she gets a chance to prove that she is an elite filly. We'll see if she can pull it off.
How do you not root for her? She's too easy to like as a horse. Then you talk to the people behind her, and you see the task that she's trying to take on and beating the very best. She's got me as a supporter, and I know a lot of people are going to be behind her as Nitrogen attempts to write her name in the history books.
Well, somebody else who has his name in the history books is jockey Robby Albarado. We're going to remember him when we return here on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here with a new schedule featuring live racing every Thursday through Sunday. Post time 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Back is our popular 12% takeout pick 5 offered twice daily, and play the all-new $3 late pick 3 with a 15% takeout. Don't forget, closing day will be Labor Day, Monday, September 7th, with the Grade 3 Old Dominion Derby. Colonial Downs, the next era in racing.
The Scott Mallory consignment at this year's Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale consists of 4 outstanding individual offerings, starting with hip number 8, a yearling out of 2-year-old winner Laurel Canyon by the outstanding sire Bolt Doro. Hip 40 is a filly out of graded stakes placed off topic. Hip 215, a filly by legendary sire Curlin out of the grade 1 producing mare Hard to Resist. And hip 220 is from the first crop of Forte out of multiple stakes producing 100% winner producer Ice Women. Don't miss these outstanding yearlings offered by Scott Mallory in Barn 5 at Fasig-Tipton Saratoga.
Monmouth Park is your place to play this summer with a 15% takeout on all doubles and pick 3s, including a $5 late double and a $3 late pick 3. And Don't miss these exciting upcoming handicapping contests. The $500 Mama Saratoga contest on Whitney Day, Saturday, August 8th, and the $800 Mama Saratoga contest on Travers Day, August 29th. Contests award a combination of BCBC seats, NHC seats, and cash. It's all happening at Monmouth Park.
A Keeneland session topper from the first crop of the all-conquering Vekoma. Jonathan's Way was touted by purchaser John Moynihan as, quote, one of the best-looking horses you'll ever lay your eyes on. Out of an undefeated stakes-winning juvenile daughter of Indian Charlie, Jonathan's Way is a complete outcross through his first 5 generations and comes from the immediate female family of the great Dynaformer. Brilliantly talented with the pedigree and physical makeup to be commercial dynamite. Jonathan's Way, a future stallion star, standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back, Mike Penna, Angela Herman. The Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires. Been a busy show, Angela. Miguel Clement was here. Price Bell Jr. was here. Boyd Browning Jr. was here. Jon Green in the previous segment. We have covered a lot of ground already and still a lot more to come.
Yes, absolutely. A lot more to come because there's so much good racing going on across the country. So much to talk about, including something going on next year. So still plenty more territory to cover. We're just barely over halfway through. Stay tuned.
Yeah, still to come, 10 o'clock Eastern, Kevin Kilroy with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20, and at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans, with Tim Wilkin. We'll talk about the situation involving the Triple Crown this year and so many different layers to that discussion that we can get into with them coming up in just a little bit. But we want to spend a little time in this segment remembering jockey Robby Albarado, who passed away on Tuesday in Saratoga Springs, New York, at the way too young age of 52. Albarado was working with his close friend Ken McPeak in Saratoga, as he had been since his retirement in 2021. When Robby retired, he retired with 5,222 career victories, which included a multitude of greatest stakes wins. His runners earned more than $222 million. His legacy in the sport of thoroughbred racing is set, and his impact will be felt on the sport for years to come.
Horses lift you up, man. They're the real stars in our business. So, I mean, I've been really extremely fortunate, despite all the injuries I've been through. I missed a lot of time with my injuries, but they've all come back stronger and made me want to do more.
Robby Albarado and Jambalaya going for glory of the million.
Macho again is out in front, down the outside, Arson Squad. Einstein got out late, it's too late today. Macho again wins.
Einstein winning the Woodford Reserve Turf Classic by a length.
Silver Max has done it. He's won the Shadwell for Robby Albarado at the expense of Wise Dan.
Mineshaft obviously was a special horse.
And it's going to be Mineshaft. Mineshaft, routinely brilliant to win here at Belmont Park once again.
Court Vision, when I won the Bruce Cup Mile on him.
Court Vision get out front of Turalure on the outside. Oh, they hit it together. Too close to call. Court Vision.
Curlin, which is one many significant grade ones on the Preakness of the World Cup.
And from the red, white, and blue corner, by TKO, the undefeated champ is Curlin.
A race of the way from Robby Albarado. He thinks Curlin has defeated Sweet Tricks in the shadow of the wire.
Banshee Breeze comes to mind. You know, it's really, really special fillies. You know, Swiss Skydiver last year when I broke out the starting gates, I felt right back where I was on that grade one level, riding those grade ones every weekend. So it's something you don't forget. You know, and I will never forget that. Been blessed for doing it.
They're nose to nose, all the way to the wire, and it is going to be a photo finish. Was it the filly Swiss Skydiver? I think she did it.
If you were to look back and say, you know, boy, there's something missing from my resume, from my trophy case. There's one thing I wish I could have accomplished. Would it have been the Kentucky Derby?
Absolutely, man. It's the only thing that's, you know, it's kind of like you feel like a Dan Marino or Charles Barkley. You know, you did good in your career. Everybody said, oh, you had a great career. But you didn't win that championship. You didn't win that Super Bowl. You didn't win the Kentucky Derby. You know, it's kind of like that. You don't, well, I mean, really, I'm honored with my career. Very honored what I've accomplished, and I'm proud of myself for doing that. But that's one thing. And where you could be flying on an airplane someday, oh, you're a jockey. Oh, that's nice. Have you won a Kentucky Derby? First thing everyone says.
Mystic Dan, who's begging for the wire. Forever Young and Sierra Leone. Keep on coming. Sierra Leone, Forever Young, and Mystic Dan. A wild finish. Here's the wire. Photo finish. 3 noses on the wire. Mystic Dan, Sierra Leone, and Forever Young in an international thriller.
I feel like I wanted myself. I think I was on him. I just feel honored to be part of the team. You know, so I'm doing a lot of things vicariously through Mystic Dan.
You're still a relatively young man. You're only 48 years old. Why do you feel like this is the right time to say, okay, enough's enough, let's move on to the next chapter?
One day I was in the Joshua in Churchill Downs, and I asked Pat Day, I says, man, why are you still doing this? You've accomplished everything in your career. You've won every big race in the country. I mean, you don't really need to do this, so why you still do it? He looked at me and he says, you'll see. And I get that now. I get it, because it's so hard to stop something you've been doing for 31 years competitively, and that's all I've known my whole life, you know. So, you know, I just got used to riding competitively, man, and on the high level. And when it slows down, you start, I don't want to say begging, but you start hustling these cheaper mounts, and it's like, I really don't want to do that. I mean, you know, just, and I have other things I want to do before I get, you know, I want to walk away from the game. I don't want to be wheeled off from an ambulance or anything. Not that I'm scared or anything, but I just feel like I've done enough, I think, in my career where I think it's time that there comes a point where you don't need to be told to stop. You just need to decide on my own. I feel like I'm deciding on my own to do this, so it's a good feeling, actually.
What's the one thing that you're probably most proud of with everything you've been able to accomplish?
Probably most proud of the impact on young kids that I have, man. I really appreciate doing a lot of charity work, and I'm always a paid forward guy. I've always been that way, and I'm going to continue doing that, and hopefully change as many young lives as I can. I feel like I was in a position to do it, and I did. That's probably what I'm most proud of, man. You know, changing young kids' lives.
Robby, I said that I think you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I think your resume warrants it. Do you view your career as a Hall of Fame career?
Considering the guys I've ridden with, man, in the past, like I found a picture. I had dinner with Shane Sellers the other night, and they had a picture in his house of a jockey challenge we used to go to, the National Jockey Challenge that was in Dallas, Texas. And in the picture, it was Chris Antley, Lafitte Pink-Eye, Shane Sellers, myself, Chris McCarron, Edgar Prado, Alex Solis, Jerry Bailey, Pat Day. We rode the Jockey Challenge that year. I'm thinking to myself, wow, we forgot back then how tough the colony was, and how it started out, and I was at my peak compared to today, where we still have a bunch of great young riders here today. But back in the day, man, it was stacked up with a pretty good bunch of riders I rode with. And to say I deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, I mean, that's not up to me. That's up to you voters to do that. But I'm proud of my career, and I feel like I've ridden some of the best horses in the country. So if it happens, it happens, man. You know, I'll sit back and hopefully one day, you know, put that Navy jacket on.
Yeah, hopefully one day Robby Albarado does get that plaque in Saratoga, much like Christophe Clement yesterday, much like John Shirreffs yesterday. Angela, I believe he's deserving his impact, his legacy, everything he did on the racetrack, the way he helped people every chance that he had. I believe he's a Hall of Famer on every level.
I do too. And it's hard not to listen to that and just get a little bit choked up thinking about how much he loved what he did and how much he loved the people that he did work with and how much he loved the horses. And you can hear those stretch replays and really recall all of the greats that he was teamed up with in getting to the winner's circle and how much he mattered in making their careers. And it's just unspeakably sad. And he's gone too soon. It's very, very sad.
You know, the comments you heard there came from my conversation with him after he announced his retirement back in 2021. And there were other elements to that conversation that weren't included in that feature. And by the way, wonderful job by our producer, Lee Delapina, putting that together, Lee. Just incredible. I asked Robby what he would be doing with his life if he never decided to become a jockey. And he stopped for a minute and he said, you know, I loved playing basketball when I grew up. But, of course, my height limited me from going on to a basketball career. So he thought maybe that would be something. But he was also a pretty darn good golfer. And I asked him about that. And I said, what do you think you can get your handicap down to now that you're not riding races anymore and you have all this time to devote to golf? And he said, well, I'm going to try. But his son, Cash, is also a fantastic golfer. He's now a senior at Bellarmine University in Louisville, and he was awarded a scholarship. And Robby said, I used to be able to beat him all the time. Now I can't come close to beating Cash at golf. And that was his other passion. If he loved race riding, he really loved playing golf as well.
Well, and that's, I suppose, the legacy that he would want to leave, to have his son follow into his footsteps and then some and keep on going down the line. But his experiences on and off the track and the stories that people told of him on and off the track, especially Dale, and we will get to talk to him a little bit later. I mean, he made an impact on people, not just with their horses, but on a personal level, and he will be greatly missed.
Can't wait to hear Dale's comments and his memories of Robby Albarado. They were very close friends for 3 decades. More of that coming up at the end of the program in I Ask, They Answer. Going to get to another break. We'll come back with more. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Ms. Fernandez, what are those tiny things?
Those are what we call amoebas. You can only see them through a microscope.
Wow.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, there's a funding crisis in public schools. Millions of kids go to schools that don't have funding for books, computers, and so much more just because of where they live. You can help change that. Donors Choose is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. You choose which supplies to support. You could provide first graders with pencils and paper, or other students with their first chapter books, help a music class get a guitar.
You could even supply a classroom like mine with a science project. But what you're really giving is the moment that sparks a brighter tomorrow.
To learn more, please visit DonorsChoose.org. That's DonorsChoose.org. Choose students. Shape the future.
I always tell people I was the luckiest guy in the world. I wanted to be an Army man or a fireman, and I got to do both. As a firefighter, my job was about saving lives. I never thought one day I would be fighting for mine.
After spending his career answering the call to save others, Ken was diagnosed with ALS. Now he's facing his biggest battle, for more time. For 70 years, Muscular Dystrophy Association has been answering the call to help people live longer and more independent lives.
MDA means to me hope.
MDA is leading the way for people living with ALS, muscular dystrophy, and other neuromuscular diseases by accelerating research, advancing care, and advocating to empower families like Ken's.
I wouldn't be living as good of a life with ALS if it wasn't for MDA. MDA is helping people live stronger and love longer. Learn more at MDA.org today.
Hi, human. I'm a micro monster swimming around in your plastic water bottle. But I can't wait to swim in your bloodstream soon.
Microplastics are micro monsters.
Drink me. Wait, what are you doing?
But you can fight back by using glass or metal reusable water bottles.
No!
Don't let microplastic micro monsters invade your body. Find more ways to fight back at stopmicromonsters.org.
Thursday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Brisnet.com call-in show. It's your chance to call in and let the Horse Racing Radio Nation know what's on your mind. Call us at 888-966-HRRN. That's 888-966-4776. And discuss the topics you choose in the world of thoroughbred racing. The Brisnet.com call-in show. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Going to take a look at some dates in racing history as they apply to this weekend coming up here in just a moment. But earlier you heard from Miguel Clement, and he talked about the emotional day that he and his family had yesterday as their father, Christoph, was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then they came back and won the Hall of Fame stakes later that afternoon at Saratoga. Well, John Sheriffs was also inducted, and his wife, Dottie and Gordo Sheriffs, longtime listener of this program. She quite often sends me a note about something that she heard on the program, and just an absolutely beautiful lady. And yesterday, as she was talking about her late husband, John, during the induction ceremonies, she had referenced my name, and she referenced a question that I had asked John a couple of years ago, a few years back now, about his racing memorabilia that he had at his house. And first of all, Dottie, the fact that I was mentioned in a Hall of Fame speech I'm blown away by that, and I can't thank you enough for thinking enough of that conversation I had with John to include me. But the other part of that conversation, and you've heard it here on the program, I've played it many times, I asked John what his most cherished Zenyatta possession was, and he got choked up. And when he composed himself, he talked about the racing bridle that he had. And there was a school teacher in Canada dying of cancer. Her friend reached out to John and told him how much she loves Zenyatta. And John said, well, let's put her name on the brow band, and Zenyatta will wear it in her final race. And that was John's most prized possession. And congratulations to John, to Dottie, to the entire family for his induction into the Hall of Fame yesterday. That was special too, Angela.
Oh, wow. And then some. I did not know that. And I'm a big John Sheriffs fan. I think if you go to Canterbury and you ask my coworkers what I play and who I play, they would have told you for years. She plays the West Coast, and if there's a John Sheriffs horse in the field, she's throwing it in. And he did things the right way by the horse, and obviously did things very right by people. And he's a very deserving member of the Hall of Fame. Probably could have been for years, but John Sheriffs is a guy that you could follow and know that his horses were coming into the races the right way and were going to give their best efforts, and they always looked outstanding before the races. So congratulations to the family on an honor well deserved.
A couple of quick dates in racing history. We don't have a lot of time before we have to segue into hour number 3 in our TwinSpires triple play, but it was August 8th, 1970 that jockey Bill Shoemaker won his 6,000th career race. He did that aboard Shining Count at Del Mar. And August 8th, 1987, Kent DeSormo set the record for most stakes wins by an apprentice jockey, 13 aboard King Snow in the Premier Stakes at Pimlico, or Primer Stakes, I believe, at Pimlico. Pretty cool stuff.
Well, yeah. Do you think ever at those points in their careers that they could imagine that they would keep going and get even better and better?
Yeah. He got 6,000. He's probably thinking, I'm pretty good at this.
Hey, he still won another Derby 16 years later. There was still plenty to come with him, but very interesting dates, and thanks for bringing those up.
Yeah, awesome stuff. We're not done yet, Angela. Let's do hour 3. It kicks off with the TwinSpires triple play. That comes your way next, right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Ruby Doll digs in for all she has, and she has enough to win it! Ruby Doll did it again!
A great version of the Ruby Doll and Pal.
Best Pal clear, and Best Pal wins the Futurity.
And Desert Gate dominates the Best Pal.
Another tremendous effort from Deterministic, who wins the FanDuel 4-Star Dave.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
But it's Chunk of Gold winning by 4 or 5 lengths.
And looking at Lee and Alvin Jimenez going to get up right on the wire to win the Ellis Park Juvenile Stakes. And Art Collector is on to Louisville, and he won the Ellis Park Derby.
But it is USA in Dubai World Cup number 30. Magnitude leads all the way, 50 yards to catch Magnitude. But Magnitude to the top of the class.
It takes way better than a good horse to do what he's done in his last 2 races. It takes a horse of Curlin, Gunrunner, Magnitude's quality to get that done.
Nitrogen is clearly
clearly still the best. She is on top and is absolutely romping home in the Ogden Phipps. Nitrogen trounces them by more than 10 lengths.
I want to give her a chance to be great. You know, if she could beat the boys, that would be a good start.
Now, here's Mike Penna and Angela Herman.
Well, no shortage of things to talk about. We've been talking about them for the past 2 hours here this morning on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Welcome back. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, Angela Herman, the Countess of Canterbury, rolling into hour number 3. The TwinSpires Triple Play will kick us off momentarily. Kevin Kilroy will join us to give you 3 races to watch and wager on this afternoon. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History, coming up at 10:20. Dale, Tim, set to join us 10:30 Eastern for I Ask, They Answer. And Angela, again, we talked about this earlier in the program. I'll bring it up again. When Dale and Tim join us, it's amazing how many headlines came out in the sport of thoroughbred racing just this week alone.
I know, and it's going to be a lot to pour over and a lot to get their opinions on because it has sparked so much debate. I mean, on the internet, you can see everybody has an opinion about the different changes that are going on in racing and some of the events that have come along with it, too. And, of course, Dale and Tim, no shortage of opinions on just about anything dealing with horse racing.
If you did miss any portion of the show so far, head back to our website after Angela and I finish at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can listen to the podcast every single week, not just this show, but all of our shows at horseracingradio.net, and you can do that too on your favorite podcast platform. So wherever you get your podcast, type in Horse Racing Radio Network and follow along with us here every week, all year long. And things are going to ramp up quickly because we are making our way toward the Breeders' Cup, as evident with the Whitney that we've been talking about this morning, the 4-star Dave at Saratoga, both of those winning your in events this afternoon. Kevin Kilroy has decided to go a little different direction for you, which I think is fantastic, and he joins us now for the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Angela. Yeah, a lot of action this weekend. Tons of big races. Even in Virginia, Colonial Downs, we've got some stakes. So I thought we'd take a look at the late pick 3 there and see if we can make some good money while some of the eyes are on other races.
Yeah, I say it's fantastic that you chose to focus on a racetrack that isn't Saratoga, that isn't Ellis with their big day coming up tomorrow, or Del Mar, which is ultra popular, because of the fact that I loved your reasoning behind it. When you sent me the message, you said, let's do Colonial, races 8, 9, and 10, the late pick 3, because the payoffs have been really good with this bet throughout the meet.
Yeah, so they just have started the $3 base minimum for the late pick 3. And that's something that you're seeing in a lot of tracks, right? Just as increasing the base bet. And, you know, it's good for a few different things. One, I think a lot of players, it maybe just pushes you to build a bigger ticket and put a little bit more capital behind your opinions as opposed to the 50-cent minimum that you sometimes sort of cook up for just some action. So the payouts increase, obviously, just by putting more money into it. But it kicks out a lot of the call money in terms of having a bigger base. They're just not as effective in terms of their arbitrage to try to clear the pools. And, you know, what I'm seeing so far is that the payouts in this late pick 3 at Colonial far surpass what I was seeing from the other tracks that it's been implemented at, you know, including Churchill. So I think some of that has to do with just not a lot of call money in general at Colonial Downs. It's just a lower percentage of the pool. And maybe it's just because it's a new bet. You know, it's low 15% takeout. But, I mean, when I say the payouts are fantastic, most days the will pays range from 300 to 400 to 3,000 to 4,000. Now we're not seeing a ton of the 3,000 to 4,000 payouts, right? But seeing a lot of that 800 to 1,200. So it's juicy in there. So let's try to bring it home for the people.
Yeah, let's find out what you've come up with in those 3 races today. Again, races 8, 9, 10, making up the $3 late pick 3 at Colonial. The Shenandoah Stakes kicks us off, a $100,000 purse, and this one on the outer turf for the fillies, all 3-year-olds. How'd you see race number 8?
Yeah, I like these races. So, you know, a couple things. Just 3-year-olds here. And we've got the return of Ewing in the next one, and that the Turf Dash. But we've also got another Cassie, 3-year-old and Final Accord. You know, each of them will take some money. You know, Mike, Angelo, when I'm looking at pick 3s, I'm ideally trying to beat 2 favorites. 2 favorites, I think is a reasonable goal. If you can beat 2 favorites, then you want to build a pick 3. Beating one at 3 to 5, 4 to 5, very short price one, that's another good reason to get into it. But that's something to keep in mind, when you start attacking and building a ticket. Are you beating enough favorites? There's a pick 3, pick 4, or are you beating the right favorite? I'm not sure if this sequence we are going to have a 3 to 5 favorite. I don't see that coming necessarily. So I'm going to keep that in mind and try to beat 2. Right off the rip, I think a single in here with Spinelli, the number 5, coming out for Joe Orseno. Samuel Morin up. It'll be his first time up. He's been riding fantastic. I think she's got the speed. She's got the speed, and they tried to stretch her out, going a mile. She ran a good mile behind Kentucky Belle. That good one for Brad Cox, and almost got it done going a mile and 16. So I don't think more distance is a problem for her. And these are 6 furlong races, so sometimes you question the early speed, if it only holds for 5.5. I think she can do it. I think she draws really nicely. She had that inside draw at Monmouth last out, and Gerard's Cross really had a nice sort of loose lead throughout and was able to hold off Spinelli. So 3rd start in the form cycle. I know the barn hasn't won yet this meet. I think that'll help our price, but I think she's the real speed in here, and I think she's proven that she can go further than 5.5. So I like her in this spot.
Love a good 5-1 single. Now, there are horses coming from some different tracks from around the country, into Colonial in particular. Is there any certain track that you look for horses to come in from? Is there any sort of form that carries really well into there? Tell us about shippers to Colonial.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things about handicapping this meet is that you do get so many horses from so many different spots, but also the aspect of it that creates the chaos, right? That I think that keeps those markets uncertain and allows you to have big scores. I don't have a true feel for which course. Like if a horse loves this course, then they're going to love Colonial as well. So I just try to dig in personally and just try to get a better feel for the company lines. I might not know the horses that today's entries have been facing, but I'll look to see how they did next time. I'll click on a few just to get a sense for what barns they're with and sort of how their form has been. So I wish I had the magic, the silver bullet to figure that out. But it's part of the work that you got to do to dig into it, at least for me.
Right, just another piece of the puzzle.
Right.
So there are a couple of fillies in here who have not tried turf, and one was of a little bit of interest to me, and that's Ridgie, because Ridgie did all right at points in her Tampa campaign, but now she's been off since February. They put blinkers on her. She's going to be a bomb. Is she one that you would consider maybe using just because she is in a good position to try the turf for the first time?
Well, I mean, she is definitely going to be a bomb in here. I've definitely watched meet after meet where Bowersock comes in with the goods and gets it done at a big price. Daniel's been riding good. I don't know. I mean, Neolithic, Florida bred here. The dam has some turf form for sure, but no sibs to really look to. Coming off the bench, solid work tab, I think, is in her favor. Proven going longer. Maybe she wants more distance overall. It'd be a shot in the dark. I'm willing to take a stand against her since I have a strong opinion about Spinelli. But if I was going to spread in this race, getting away from Final Accord and Meilani, the two that will definitely take a ton of money, I couldn't blame you for using her, that's for sure.
Well, there you have it. But it is number 5, Spinelli, the top pick of Kevin Kilroy to kick off this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. Race number 9 follows race number 8. That makes perfect sense. And race 9, Kevin, is the Colonial Turf Dash for the purse of $100K. 6 furlongs on that outer turf course. How'd you see that one?
Yeah, we've got Ewing in this race. Ewing was a very promising 2-year-old for Mark Cassidy that really hasn't moved forward. I was able to watch the work on July 5th. Obviously, a nice time up at Saratoga. A little bit of an excuse, obviously, facing, classier group there in the quick call on July 19th. But I don't think 15-1 will be the price. At that price, you might be encouraged to use, but I think it'll be an underlay. I think it'll be closer to 9-2 or something like that. Spidey Man in here just had the outside horse for Jamie Ness in good form, but had a very easy setup and barely held on against Doubting Thomas on July 12th. So I don't trust him, and there's more speed in this race. But looking at that race, Doubting Thomas makes a ton of sense. Absolutely. Trombetta, etc. 2-1, if that's the price, it's going to be a little bit too short. When you have a horse like Misner, the 6 in here, second time on turf, people talk about it all the time, second time for horses doing anything, you can expect some improvement. And just showed a different running style. Misner was relatively one-dimensional through the first few starts, and we saw Russell settle Misner, maybe got a little tight early, maybe in the scramble sort of had his hand forced, but he came on late in a really nice way. I liked his gallop out too, and he's proven at 6 furlongs, which is something you got to keep in mind as opposed to just 5.5. So the Russell barn has heated up like nobody's business over the past couple of weeks. They've been hot as can be. I think they won 3 on Thursday. We've seen a couple 3-win days for the barn over the past couple of weeks, and it started off relatively cool with a lot of seconds. So Misner coming out for David Ross, Dars Incorporated, I think can improve second time out and going to get a lot better set up in terms of a few of these forward horses coming back. So that's my top play in there. That's what I want to use. I also want to use My Boy Star, second off the bench. Could be dangerous on the front end. And Wooten has a look. I think this is a bomb, Angela, in terms of looking to sort of 20-1, 30-1s. Another one, nice. Second time off the bench. Another one that has won at 6 furlongs. And you can see if you just look back a little bit, when the blinkers came on, that new form popped forward. So likely needed that last race to get rolling. And I think Wooten has a little bit of a look in here too.
Okay, so you got a single in the last leg, and this one is wide open. If Doubting Thomas is the horse to beat, how deep do you have to go to survive in this leg of the pick 3?
I think I'll use 4 altogether. I've got 2, 4, 6s in my A's, but this George Weaver horse, number 5, Azazam, I think is a nice horse, and I think 6 furlongs is going to be good for him. He was just maybe just building up his rhythm when he hit the wire in the My Frenchman last out. Now he's a little bit hard to trust in the States in terms of getting the win, just the one win, but I think the 2, 4, 6, and 5, and I'll feel good with that, and we'll beat some favorites in this race and try to shoot for one of those 4-figure pick 3 payouts.
All right. Now, if we're beating favorites in the 9th, we have to conclude this in the 10th, and let's get a winner in this one because we go to the inner turf and go 1 mile. It's an optional claimer to close out the card. What are your thoughts on it, and how are we going to bring home a winner in this pick 3?
Yeah, I think this might be the race that I would be tempted to spread the most. Devastating is my top pick in here, coming out for Rob Bales. Great horse, but I know I've talked to you guys about before, but he's 2 back. I think he should have won. I thought if just a little bit of a stronger finish from Forrest, and he would have won. He was in great position too. Acheron fought back in a good way. The jockey was really all out to get him there, and maybe had a better setup. We could see Jose Ortiz was up at Laurel Park, and that was a good group. Very key race there, May 16th. 3 winners came out of it, 4 second-place finishes. I love Giraffes. We kind of all know him for the wrong reasons with that ride by Paco. Didn't finish the next race. So very good form, key form out of that one. And then lost to the stablemate who wired the field last out on the main track. So back to the turf where I've seen the best efforts. And Toledo's going to get up. And, jockey changes, you can think too much about them. What I try to do is dig into Formulator and look to see how the barn does with jockey changes in general, and then specifically to this jockey today. And it's a 31% angle for Bales over the last 5 years when Toledo gets up on the jockey change. So I think it's signal there, Devastating, can get forward. Who's going to get to the lead? Likely the 9. Who's going to go with? Maybe Devastating just gets that perfect stalking trip for this 1 mile race. But this is a good one. I like this race. And of course, a full field. The full fields on the turf has been a big part of these payouts for sure in this pick 3.
All right, so 3 races, all pertaining to the $3 late pick 3 at Colonial this afternoon, races 8, 9, and 10. Let's recap Kevin's top selections, and you heard him talk about other horses that he'll be using in that sequence as well. But his top picks in race 8, he'll go with number 5, Spinelli, a single in that race at 5-1. Race number 9, number 6, Misner, the top pick at 8-1. And in race number 10, number 5, Devastating, 9-2 on the morning line, his top pick in there. Again, it's a wager, Kevin, that's paid really, really well. Let's hope it continues.
Yeah, and I'll just say 5, 7, 8, 11 are my A's for that last race, if anybody's just following along for those. So, yeah, it's been paying well, and it's worth taking a swing against those favorites. I think we can try to beat 2 in this sequence.
All right, what else is happening at TwinSpires this weekend?
Tons of stuff, right? And so many tracks covered and so much good things. So, I mean, there's the odds boost at Saratoga, 15%. If you're playing there, we've got the money back on Saturday as well at Saratoga, $25, $10, $25, $50. Late pick 5 insurance has been a cool thing on Fridays at Colonial Downs. If you get 4 out of 5, you get up to $50 back of your pick 5. And, of course, Ellis Park is going to have you with the Win Place Show money back on the Ellis Park Derby Day through TwinSpires. So, tons of tracks covered. Opt into all of them and see where the action takes you.
All right, there you have it. The TwinSpires Triple Play. You can play those races any way you like. Just make sure you're playing those races in every race you're going to bet this weekend at TwinSpires. Kevin, appreciate the visit, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, good talking to you guys. Good luck today.
Good luck, buddy. All right, Kevin Kilroy, TwinSpires Triple Play. Angela, we owe our listeners an update on the Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question. What do you got?
Got to get our mojo working. And you might know that the legendary horse Kelso won the Whitney 3 times. But who was the only other horse to win the Whitney 3 times? No Googling the answer. Good luck.
All right, going to ask you a poll question here this morning, too. Which morning line favorite is more likely to punch their ticket to the Breeders' Cup this afternoon? You have 2 win-year-ins, the 4-star Dave and the Whitney. Do you like deterministic in the 4-star Dave or magnitude in the Whitney? That is the question. Which morning line favorite at Saratoga has the best chance to punch their ticket to the Breeders' Cup this afternoon? Deterministic or magnitude? And of course, essentially asking you which horse is the most likely to win in their respective races. We will find out, update the poll question as we move later in the program. All right, the answer to that poll question, too, by the way, the Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question, comes your way at the end of the show, right around 10:55 Eastern. Kurt Becker coming up next with your Stroll Through Racing History, presented by Keeneland. Dale Tim, still to come, 10:30 Eastern. Stay with us. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
You're listening to HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Scott Mallory consignment at this year's Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale consists of 4 outstanding individual offerings, starting with hip number 8, a yearling out of 2-year-old winner Laurel Canyon by the outstanding sire Bolt Doro. Hip 40 is a filly out of graded stakes placed off topic. Hip 215, a filly by legendary sire Curlin out of the grade 1 producing mare Hard to Resist. And hip 220 is from the first crop of Forte out of multiple stakes producing 100% winner producer Ice Women. Don't miss these outstanding yearlings offered by Scott Mallory in Barn 5 at Fasig-Tipton Saratoga.
Get ready for the biggest night of the year at Charlestown on Friday, August 28th. It's the Grade 2 $1 million Charlestown Classic and the Grade 2 $750,000 Charlestown Oaks, the richest sprint race for 3-year-old fillies in North America. The spectacular card features 9 stakes races worth over $2.7 million. The action gets started with a special first post time of 5 o'clock Eastern. It's the Grade 2 Charlestown Classic and Grade 2 Charlestown Oaks on Friday, August 28th here at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races.
Live racing is back at Ellis Park Racing and Gaming. The 25-day summer racing season runs through August 23rd with racing every Friday through Sunday throughout the summer with a daily first post of 11:55 a.m. Central, featuring many of racing's top trainers and jockeys and a record $4.125 million stakes schedule across 18 races, including the Summer Showcase Weekend August 1st and 2nd and the Ellis Park Derby Day August 9th. You won't want to miss summer racing at Ellis Park. For more information, visit EllisParkOwensboroGaming.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. Despite the onset of the Great Depression late in 1929 and the economic challenges it caused, the governor of Illinois authorized a special race with a lucrative purse to be held at the Illinois State Fair of 1930. Today on The Stroll, we look back at the short-lived but memorable history of the Illinois Governor's Derby. Walter O. Ireland was the superintendent of speed in the Depression era at the Illinois State Fair, but his background was primarily in the sport of harness racing. So when Governor Lewis Emerson decided he wanted a signature thoroughbred race on the 1-mile track at Springfield, he set to work forming a staff which would help Ireland with management of the event. For example, Roy Dickerson of Arlington Park would be the official starter, while Southern turf celebrity John Carey would be the handicapper. Carey would assign weights for each starter and would also look after clerical details. John McLennan, handicapper and racing secretary at Arlington Park and Hawthorne Racecourse, was appointed to head a board of stewards for what would be a one-day race meeting. As Springfield and Chicago newspapers reported, McLennan and all other appointees assured that the conduct of the races would be in keeping with the importance of the occasion. And this would be an important occasion, as evidenced by a purse of $3,000, some $60,000 today when accounting for inflation, a purse about 3 to 5 times the size of purses for even the popular harness races at the Illinois State Fair. Governor Emerson communicated with prominent Chicagoan and thoroughbred owner John Hertz, who was at Saratoga for the summer, and Hertz in turn secured the cooperation and help of Jockey Club Vice Chairman William Woodward. Hertz would be sending his first call rider Eddie Steffen to Springfield for the day, while Woodward agreed to release Earl Sandy from his Saratoga engagements so the future Hall of Fame jockey could also be at Springfield. Sandy had gained notoriety by riding Gallant Fox to wins in the Kentucky Derby, Preakness, and Belmont just a few months earlier, so having him ride at the Illinois State Fair was a public relations coup on the part of Governor Emerson. Hertz also noted in his response to the governor that the trip from New York to Illinois would be Sandy's first flight. Race day for the inaugural edition of the Governor's Derby at the Illinois State Fair would be Saturday, August 23, 1930. It would be the first all-thoroughbred card in the fair's history. The opening race would be a 4.5 furlong sprint for $400. The second race would be contested for $500 at 5 furlongs for 4-year-olds and up. Other races would include 2 sprints and 1 race at a mile, with purses ranging from $200 to $700. The Governor's Derby would be programmed as the 4th event on the 7-race card. Some 25,000 people poured onto the Illinois State Fairgrounds. They filled the 10,000-seat grandstand to capacity, filled seats of auxiliary bleachers, and lined the fences around the track. The skies were sunny, the temperature was 84 degrees. Sandy had the mount on Reveille Boy, owned by Memphis grocery store proprietor Charles Best, and winner 2 months earlier of the $60,000 American Derby at Washington Park in a 55-1 upset. It was a surprising victory because Reveille Boy had been known as a fractious and high-strung horse, which seldom reached the winner's circle. While the American Derby was contested at 1.25 miles, the Governor's Derby at Springfield would be held at a distance of 1 1/16. There would be no parimutuel betting as state law prohibited gambling on events at the fairgrounds. Nonetheless, turf riders would describe the race as a whirlwind dash, which produced one of the greatest finishes ever on the local track. Billy Champ, a chestnut son of prominent stakes winner Hourless, went nose-to-nose with Reveille Boy the length of the home stretch. At the wire, Billy Champ was a neck in front. The press called Billy Champ's victory astounding, many noting that winning jockey Tommy May was celebrating his 18th birthday, and so a teenager had edged Earl Sandy, arguably America's highest profile jockey at the time, in a thrilling stretch battle. The time for the 1/16 was 1 minute 43 and 2/5 seconds. The winner was trained by J. Thomas Taylor for the Warm stable of Lexington, Kentucky-based owners Mason and Hanger. May, who was personally congratulated by Governor Emerson in the winner's circle, was described by the press as an Idaho farm kid. There would be 4 more editions of the Governor's Derby, but it would be discontinued after 1934, not long after Emerson left office.
Today, a 5-day harness meeting still takes place annually in August at the Illinois State Fair, with an administrative building named in honor of Emerson being one of the few reminders on the grounds of what once was. The Governor's Derby, though it was short-lived, fulfilled Governor Emerson's dream of bringing top-level horses, trainers, and jockeys to the grassroots environment of the Illinois State Fair. For that, we believe it worth paying tribute to the governor, who truly was a fan of horse racing. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Thanks, Kurt, for that story. If you missed it, go to our website to check out the podcast of every Stroll Through Racing History. And don't forget while you're there to check out our Trainer Talk presented by Fasig-Tipton and sign up for our email newsletters to stay up to date on the latest news and guests set to appear on our shows. Dale and Tim coming up next with I Ask, They Answer. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
This is HRRN, where racing comes to talk.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here with a new schedule featuring live racing every Thursday through Sunday. Host time 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Back is our popular 12% takeout pick 5 offered twice daily, and play the all-new $3 late pick 3 with a 15% takeout. Don't forget, closing day will be Labor Day, Monday, September 7th with the Grade 3 Old Dominion Derby. Colonial Downs, the next era in racing.
When it's time to paint the fences and barns, think Farm Paint. At Farm Paint, you get the industry's best coatings and paints factory direct at low, low prices. Farm Paint is your source for quality paints, roof coatings, dustless arena footings, and more. You can purchase online or drop into a Farm Paint store near you with locations in Heart of Bluegrass Country at 700 Phillips Lane in Lexington, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio, and Sandusky, Ohio. Buy factory direct and save at farmpaint.com. That's farmpaint.com.
The biggest day in Washington State racing is now even bigger and better. On Sunday, August 16th, watch and wager on 6 stakes races, including the 91st running of the prestigious Long Acres Mile from Emerald Downs. Post time is 1:50 p.m. Pacific time. Play the All Stakes Pick 4, Pick 5, and Pick 6, and don't forget all Pick 3s have a 12% takeout. For more race day and ticket information, visit emeralddowns.com.
Nothing compares to a horse. They inspire greatness, command respect. Because Virginia's horse industry isn't just racing and farming. It's built on the skills, labors, and passions of dedicated people working in every industry throughout our state. Horses fuel the economy, create jobs, support thousands of families, and even make dreams come true. Virginia's economy wins with horses. Find out more at virginiahorseracing.com.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
And they're into the stretch, and Justify comes roaring home to a raucous Belmont Park with 1 furlong to run. Gronkowski and Hoffberg trying to run him down. Vino Rosso is 4th, a 16th to go. Justify is still there. Justify from Gronkowski. He's just perfect, and now he's just immortal. Justify is the 13th Triple Crown winner. Gronkowski was 2nd, Hoffberg was 3rd, and Vino Rosso was 4th. Justify has done it.
Larry Colmus with a call. Justify, the last horse to sweep horse racing's Triple Crown, which changed significantly this week. Is that series still relevant? Dale and Tim answer that question and a slew of others following an insanely busy week of headlines. Plus, right or wrong, the Curlin was a better Travers Prep than the Jim Dandy last weekend. And how does this tremendous Whitney field this afternoon stack up historically? We'll have those topics and a whole lot more with trainer Dale Romans and turf writer Tim Wilkin coming up on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer, presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. And all coming your way just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
Guys, I wish we had a few headlines to talk about in our sport this week. What a week. On Monday, Churchill Downs Incorporated and NYRA announced their plan to host a 6-race series for 3-year-olds with a point system awarding the top 8 finishers in the series with a $5 million additional bonus. And you could almost see it coming. 2 days later, Maryland announced they would move the Preakness Stakes, which was omitted from the CDI NYRA series, back 8 days to be run on Sunday, 22 days after the Kentucky Derby, as opposed to the traditional 14-day gap. There are a multitude of questions within this topic that we're going to talk about here this morning, starting with what do these two separate announcements from those in control of the sport's most valuable entity, the Triple Crown, say about the state of today's racing industry? Dale, you want it first?
Well, yeah, this is complicated. We could talk all our 30 minutes on this issue. I like the 6-race series. I wish the Preakness would stay where it was. I honestly believe next year when Pimlico is rebuilt and they're running, back to normal, that the Preakness would have been worked in. And I don't see the upside of moving it because you're still too close to the Belmont. And if your person is worried about the series, they're still going to skip the Preakness. Should have left it where it was, work it in next year with some extra points or something, and it would have been a lot better deal. I like the theory of the series where people are going to stay involved. It's going to be like the FedEx Cup. You're getting your points along the way, and people will be watching, and we're going to close on national TV, which is important. I don't know how the Preakness, how you're going to work it out. I love the Preakness, love the Triple Crown. Don't want that to be affected. I want this to just be an addition to what was going on. In a perfect world, Pimlico gets built. Preakness is where it is. Those points matter. Horses start running in the 3 Triple Crown races, and it becomes very relevant again. But
why not start now in terms of involving the Preakness Stakes in this series? Why wait till next year?
The reason I got is that they don't know. They don't have a building. They're not running to Pimlico. It's a little sketchy. They guaranteed that it wasn't an attack on the Preakness, that they want to secure and make the Preakness stronger. But I'm afraid there's a lot of politics and play behind the scenes on it, too. But, honestly, I think Churchill ends up with Pimlico. But that's a whole different topic and issue to talk about. The way I see it is the state it's going to run way over budget. The state's not going to want to pay for it. They end up giving it to Churchill Downs, or Churchill comes in and buys it, puts a casino there, boosts the purses, and we're back in the strength of the Triple Crown. I think Churchill might have been offended when they bought the IP rights, and then they, from what I hear, they were told by Maryland that they weren't going to exercise their option to take it for the $85 million. And they did at the last minute. They came in and swooped it up. A lot of politics being played. Hopefully everybody gets in the room, calmer heads prevail, and they work it out. Where the Triple Crown is still significant, and we have a great addition of a nice 3-year-old series that next year could possibly, if it works well, have a 3-year-old series and an older horse series, and the next year a 3-year-old series, 3-year-old filly series, and an older horse series. And if you think about it, if you had a 6-race series for those classes and it all ended at Churchill, it would maybe under the lights with primetime national coverage, it would be a great thing. But hopefully the Preakness is the only strange spot.
Timmy, I want to get to you here in just a second, get your thoughts, but I want to come to Dale here again just for one more question. Dale, is the Triple Crown still relevant? It's the sport's most valuable entity. Is it still relevant barring these changes?
It's still. they're going back to regular dates. And
All right, I think we lost Dale there for a minute. We'll get him back on the line in just a moment. Timmy, let's come to you for those questions. The two separate announcements from those in control of the sport's most valuable entity. What does that say about the state of today's racing industry, and is the Triple Crown still relevant?
Well, if you ask me, I think the industry is struggling with tradition against modernization. I understand this 6-race series, but I also think they're going to kill the Triple Crown with it. I just don't see how there's just with 6 races, and then you add the Preakness in there too. That's 7 races. How many 3-year-olds even run that many races anymore? The Triple Crown has always been the thing that people grasped the Triple Crown. Non-horse racing fans grasped the Triple Crown. They knew every spring there were 3 races, and if one horse won the Derby, then went to the Preakness and won, the interest got even bigger if they were going for a Triple Crown. Because back in the from before American Pharoah came along, it had been since 78 was an affirmed one that they'd have Triple Crown. It was a big deal, and that's gone now. I mean, it seems to me that, and I get the fact that horsemen don't come back. They don't go from the Derby to the Preakness anymore. That in 3 of the last 5 years, the Derby winners skipped the Preakness and waited for the Belmont. So is the Triple Crown relevant anymore? Maybe not, but it's sad to me that I think that it's gone now. It's with this series, I think the Triple Crown is gone.
Okay, let's assume that trainers and owners say we're going to compete in this new series, which would mean bypassing the Preakness essentially, because you're not going to come. Well, you could run in the Preakness and then come back on less than 2 weeks rest and run in the Belmont Stakes at 1.5 miles if you wanted to. We're just doing this kind of the other way around. But Timmy, is the $5 million bonus spread across the top 8 finishers enough to move the needle here for owners and trainers to compete in all 6 races?
Well, no, you don't. First of all, you don't have to compete in all 6 races.
No, you just have to earn the points, right? But if you don't have the points, you're kind of forced to run in all 6 races to get those points.
Right, but if it's going to take strategy to run your horse at his best to win second or third to get enough points. And the points, they haven't figured them out yet, but they're going to be spread enough where it's going to be top heavy on hitting the board and winning. Mm-hmm. That you're going to need to be strategic about how you do it. Just running in them isn't going to gather you enough points. And quick back to the Preakness. I wish the Preakness would go right back where it was. Put up a $5 million bonus if you win the Triple Crown. You can go insure that for a fraction of $5 million and make the Preakness very relevant, more so than moving it. And we did that before.
I think this thing, too, is going to really hurt the Haskell. It's going to hurt the Pennsylvania Derby. They're like on the outside looking in. Who's going to run in those races if they have this series? Nobody.
Yeah, maybe they're impacted even more than the Preakness.
I think so. I mean,
they would have been if Preakness hadn't moved yet.
How much do you think the television deals with NBC and Fox played into these decisions?
I don't think they're that lucrative. I think exposure to the sport on those channels is important. No, I don't think they're going to have real lucrative deals to do it. Most things we have to pay for to get on TV. Even though we're all horse racing fans and we're big into it, the networks don't, other than the Derby and maybe a Triple Crown on the line, they're not lucrative to we get bumped on FS1 for soccer.
And the other thing you look at, too, this series, the last race is supposed to be sometime in September.
Yep.
You're going up against football then. And, the networks love football. I mean, it's going to be, football always wins out over any other sport in the fall. So I think that you got to look at that, too. When there was when the Breeders' Cup was out in California, they changed the schedule around because of football, because the Classic was run in the middle of the card rather than later in the last race because they were putting football on it. football on the East Coast at night. So, football is the thing that moves the needle, not horse race.
Well, like Dale said, we could spend the full 30 minutes talking about this topic, but we do have others to get to. We also want to spend some time at the end of today's show remembering our friend Robby Albarado, who passed away suddenly this week. Just tragic news coming out of Saratoga. We'll talk about that, but we have to move on and say hello to our friend Nick Zito. And Angela, Dale, and Tim get to tell us that the following statement is right or wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
2 big 3-year-old races took place at Saratoga last weekend, which figure to have a significant impact on the Travers Stakes later this month. The Jim Dandy, won by Renegade, defeating Commandment, and the Curlin, won by Sea Strike, defeating Chief Wallaby. Both races were run at 1 1/8 miles. Renegade stopped the clock in 1:49.08, and Sea Strike's final time was surprisingly faster, 1:48.94, while being geared down in the final 16. So, to say the Curlin was the significantly stronger prep for the Midsummer Derby, is that right or is that wrong?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Timmy?
I'm kind of floored with this one. Stop it. The Jim Dandy was the stronger prep, without question. The Curlin is for horses that haven't won a great stake. In the Jim Dandy, you had the Arkansas Derby winner, you had Florida Derby winner. Chip Honcho was third in the Preakness, won the Grade 3 Ohio Derby. Silent Tactic won the Grade 3 Southwest. There were better horses in the Jim Dandy. I don't think anyone would argue with that. Sea Strike put on a show. There's absolutely no question that he did that. Gave Chad Brown his seventh Curlin win in the 17 runnings. Of the 6 prior, 5 of them went to the Travers, and no one had finished better than 6. Last year, Chancellor McPatrick went to the Jerkins and finished 4th. But, I think that Sea Strike is a nice horse, but I think, he may well make a good account of himself in the Travers, but it's a tall task. I mean, he's facing the best field he's ever faced in his life. And to say that the Curlin was a better prep than the Jim Dandy, I'm not buying that.
148.94 as opposed to 149.08. Certainly looks like the better one if you focus on the time, Timmy.
Time only matters in prison.
Dale, what do you think?
I agree with Tim. Do you think he would have won the Jim Dandy? I don't know. I don't think so. We'll find out. I mean,
sure, he ran faster.
Will he run faster against those horses? I don't think so. I don't think he would have. Time can fool you in horse racing. But we'll find out. Travers is coming up.
We'll see if he's the real deal or not.
We agreed on something here, Dale. I like that.
I don't like it.
I don't agree with either. I mean, listen, I understand maybe more accomplished horses in the Jim Dandy, but just let's face it, 148.94 as opposed to 149.08, and he was geared down to win by 8. That time could have been faster.
He wasn't facing the greatest field. Chief Wallaby, and that's about it.
He controlled everything, facing there, what everything was. Yeah, let's see what happens when he hits the quality horses. He might go on and be a great horse.
Maybe
he will. If you want to talk about the overall race, it was one horse race. So was the one horse better than I don't know.
Chief Wallaby was supposed to be pretty good.
I was on his bandwagon early, but I'm starting to jump off.
Same here.
Distance limitations.
Yeah.
And you're not going to say you were impressed with Renegade's finish in the Jim Dandy?
Very impressed.
So
very impressed.
I was impressed. I talked to Irad a long time. Yesterday we were hanging out the coffee stand on the backside. He said he thought he was too far behind down the back. I said, I thought you were beat. Something was wrong down the backside. He said, I thought I was beat too. I said, I thought I was too far back. He said, but I wasn't going to rush him. So I just sat there, and he said he made up a lot more ground than I was wanting to have to make him do, and he did it.
Yeah. I mean, that was an visually impressive run.
Yeah, he's a good horse. He's, as they say, a proper racehorse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be a good Travers.
Should be fantastic later this month. Shane in North Carolina brings us our next topic. He says the Hall of Fame inductions were held, of course, yesterday in Saratoga, one day prior to this afternoon's Whitney, where Magnitude is the 9-5 morning line favorite. Guys, the Steve Asmussen trainee has won 8 of 14 career starts, including the Dubai World Cup and Stephen Foster this year. If he never wins another race, is Magnitude a Hall of Famer right now? Dale, what say you?
Threw in a clunker. No way.
No?
Shane's better than this. Shane can come up with better questions. No, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer right now. I think he needs to go on and close it out, champion, horse of the year, win the Breeders' Cup, win me some points, then I'll anoint him a Hall of Famer.
I agree 7 billion % on that. Magnitude is
part. He's not a Hall of Famer. It was a bad question.
Both. So Magnitude. The only 2 grade ones he's got with the Foster and the Group 1 out in Dubai World Cup. Remember he got beat by 20 lengths in the Travers last year. I mean, he was early on. He was a Triple Crown wannabe kind of horse after those 2, blowout wins in the Iowa, not the Iowa Derby, when he had the blowout win in the Risen Star, but then he got hurt and he came back in the Iowa Derby and had another blowout win. But he's got more work to do if he wants to even be considered for induction into the great Hall of Fame across the street from Saratoga Racecourse. I mean, this is, yeah.
How about if he wins the Whitney?
He's still got more to do. I mean, when you're talking about Hall of Fame, you're talking about the greats of all time. I mean, it's not the Hall of Very Good. It's the greats, all-time greats. And
a lot of horse of the years aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean Magnitude. I'm not taking anything away from Magnitude. He's a good horse. He could end up being a really good horse if he wins the Whitney. He's on his way to becoming maybe a great horse, but he's got more work to do after that, I think.
Yeah, is he proven to be a Forgo, a Kelso, a John Henry? Not yet.
No.
Well, I guess
Shane got to step it up.
We'll leave Shane's question in the dust then, and that'll lead us into topic number 4. And this is from Tom in St. Louis. You guys were talking about some of the greats that have gone through this race. How does this field stack up historically with other Whitney fields? Dale?
Not quite as good as the Roses of May Perfect Drift year, but yeah, but there's some good horses in here. This is a good race. I think I've seen that filly involved, and it's a good race. Only time will tell us what these horses are going to do from this point, if there is a Hall of Famer in here. But it's always a good race. It's always fun. And when I did win it, it was one of the highlights of my career was getting the trophy from Mary Lou herself and going back to the director's room with her, and she had Susan Lucci with her, which I thought was pretty cool. And it was my first grade one ever.
I remember that.
That's awesome.
That's when I first met you.
Yep.
Over on the Oklahoma, I was over there saying, I'm going to talk to this Dale Romans guy. He's got some horse in the Whitney.
Right. It's the first time. Been annoying me ever since.
Yeah, it's solid. Timmy, we've got about 4 minutes left in the show. Again, we want to leave time here to remember Robby Albarado. So very quickly, how does this one stack up?
It stacks up. I mean, you hear these, it's thrown around a lot. This is the best field. This is the best field in this race, in this nation, in this race. 7 of the 8 horses are millionaires. It's a very competitive, good race. I don't know if it's one of the all-time greatest fields in Whitney history, but it's certainly going to be an entertaining race, and I don't think anybody would dispute that. But to say it's the greatest field of all time, you'd have to do a lot of research to do that, and I didn't have the time to do it this week.
Dale, last week your final point of the week did involve your dear friend Robby Albarado, who had a stent put in. He was in Saratoga Hospital. You said he was doing really well, and then this week he's no longer with us. Tragic, just devastating news coming out of Saratoga this week. Why don't you take it first, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, it's awful. He was a very close friend. We've been friends for over 30 years. He rode for me for 30 years. We lived together. The last text I got from him was Sunday, and it was a muscle emoji saying, "Big D, I feel like a new person." And then Monday, he didn't answer the phone. And then we get the news on Tuesday of what would happen. I want to take a minute, though, to tell you, Robby was told by his doctor when he left the emergency of the hospital that day to wear a defibrillator vest, and he refused to do it. I don't know why. We never talked about it. But he should have had it on. He's had a family history of heart disease. He should have been going to a cardiologist. When I talked to him, he said he hadn't been in 10 years. So it's so sad that Robby's gone. One of my closest friends, always in a good mood, always upbeat. But going forward, if you're out there, listen to your doctors. If you have a history of some diseases, go to the doctor, get checked out. Modern medicine can do a lot, especially in a heart issue. It's just plumbing, as my cardiologist friend, Mike Masiello, always tells me. Stay on top of it. Don't let these things happen. But rest in peace, Robby.
I mean, obviously, I didn't know him as well as Dale, but I knew him on a professional level. And, he was always accommodating. And I remember sitting with him in the jocks room at Saratoga years ago talking about curling and how good he was. And he was very insightful, always had an opinion on something. And, he had a good sense of humor. And, it's just sad that someone that young is gone this soon. And, just condolences to his whole family and all his friends.
Robby was one of those guys, when he walked in the room, the mood rose. He was always in a good mood, whether he won, lost, indifferent, whether he was making a lot of money, whether he was galloping horses for Kenny in the last few years. He was a guy that always brought the mood in the room up. And he'll be greatly missed in our circle here at the racetrack.
Yeah, I got to know Robby years and years ago through this radio show, actually. But even before that, when I was working with Thoroughbred Times, and I'd be around Keeneland and Churchill Downs, and he was always so nice. I mean, he was always so approachable, and that's one thing I'm always going to remember about Robby Albarado as a person. He was always so approachable and so nice to me, and took his time to visit with me when I started with the radio and do all the interviews, all those kinds of things. He never said no, Dale, unless he was on the golf course.
That was it. And see,
if he had a tee time, I couldn't get him on the show, but other than that, he was good.
No, we played a lot of golf together, and I'll tell you, I never beat him. He was good. He was probably a 6 handicap, and he was a player. Yeah, he took his golf serious.
Yeah, well, rest in peace, Robby. Gone way, way too soon. Our thoughts and our prayers are certainly with everybody who knew and loved him, and with his children and his family as well. Guys, time for our final point of the week as we wind this one down. Tim, why don't you take it first?
Hall of Fame inductions at Saratoga on Friday. We've talked about this before. Long overdue. Christophe Clement and John Sheriffs went in posthumously. It's just very sad that they weren't here. They should have been inducted when they were still with us.
Dale?
Yeah, my final point is I want to wish the best to Robby's kids and his family, and to let him know that the whole racing community is behind them. Anything they need, please reach out.
All right, guys. We'll do this all over again next Saturday. Enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, guys.
If you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim discuss, you can email us, mike@horseracingradio.net. We'll do our best to get it worked in going forward. I Ask the Answer is presented every week by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. We're back with more, including the answer to this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question next on the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
Here we go.
Come on, boys. Good luck. And they're off. Be part of the story. Own the moment. Go to MojoRacingPartners.com to get your mojo working.
Life is loud. It's also fun. Hearing Health Foundation wants us to listen responsibly so we can hear all the things we love for life. Did you know that decibels measure sound intensity? But we just need to know that if it sounds too loud, it is too loud. And this can permanently harm our hearing. And it's not just about the volume, it's also about the duration, or how long we're wearing headphones to listen to music or play video games. So let's enjoy the concerts, the nights out, and the time with friends by listening smart. Let's protect our ears with earplugs. Earplugs are cool. And let's rest our ears by taking breaks in quiet, and we can turn it down even a little to help save our hearing a lot. Hearing Health Foundation wants us to keep listening to the sounds we love for life. Learn more and get more tips at hhf.org/keep listening.
This is HRRN, where racing comes to talk. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Blood Horse Magazine is the premier monthly publication of the thoroughbred industry. Magnitude, rolling in the Stephen Foster Stakes, is on the cover of the August issue of Blood Horse, which is out now. Also in the August issue is a retrospective on Tom Fool and his regular rider, Ted Atkinson, a look at the successes of Centennial Farms, and much more. A Blood Horse subscription is a must-read for any true racing enthusiast. Visit bloodhorse.com/subscribe to get your print or digital subscription today. And for a limited time, receive a free Blood Horse branded tote with your subscription or renewal. Blood Horse Magazine is the premier monthly publication of the thoroughbred industry.
Well, don't look now, Angela, but your Steam team is roaring to the front of our Showdown 5 competition. You did it last week, and boy, you entered the week with 0 points. You exited the weekend with 27 points and a 7-point lead over Tim Wilkin.
I guess the blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, every weekend or so, but I'm proud of those turf horses on the Steam team. They carried the mail for this week, and then we've got the girls trying it again this weekend. So today could be another good day, but I think it's going to be a battle right down to the wire for all four of us.
All the standings on our website at horseracingradio.net. I'm in third. Defending champion Dale is in fourth currently. Lee Delapina has the answer to this week's Mojo Racing Impossible Trivia question. Lee?
Thanks, Mike. Besides Kelso, who is the only horse to win the Whitney 3 times? That was a horse named Discovery. He won 3 consecutive years, 1934, 35, and 36, and is the only horse to ever win 3 straight times. Thanks to Mojo Racing Partners for this week's Impossible Trivia question. Get your mojo working at mojoracingpartners.com.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good is an understatement, but takes one heck of a horse to win the Whitney even once. And we're going to find out later today who adds their name to that list.
Yeah, should be an unbelievable renewal. Maybe it's even a lady who adds their name to that list.
Cheers.
I knew you would like that. Angela, been fun. We're going to do this all over again next Saturday morning.
Same time, same place. I'll see you right here.
All right. If you missed any portion of today's show, head back to the website, horseracingradio.net. Listen to the podcast. You can do that, too, on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to follow us on social media at HRN on X, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook and on YouTube. For my producer, Lee Delapina, in our Lexington studios, for Angela Herman, and for Chauncey, handling all of our social media, I'm Mike Penna. Thanks for listening to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Go Steelers.